everybody. Welcome to a special Wednesday night episode. Nobody likes onions. This is one we have been teasing for quite a while. I'm pretty excited about it. I can't believe we got him. We got Dan Nainan in the studio. It's gonna be good. We're gonna get down to it. We're gonna take your phone calls, and we're gonna ask the tough questions. You know, a lot of people have been chasing Nainan around this planet of ours for years, going 9 and 9 and 9, and what's your deal? What's the problem? Why are you so mean to everybody? Today we're going to find out what's the bee in his bonnet. And of course, we'll take your phone calls today, 323-825-4990. You might 499-90 to get them in. Ladies and gentlemen, in the studio, Dan Nainan, everybody. Dan Nainan. Yay, we did it. Hi, Dan.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here.
Is it?
Thank you.
Is it?
Hey, I'm here.
You slammed me today and told me I'm a weed smoker and it hurts my brain.
Well, you said that you had sent me the email with your address, and I had not received it.
Yeah, but we just saw you try to log on to the Wi-Fi on your laptop, and you couldn't even handle that. You claim to be a technology expert.
What can I say?
Where's the...
It's been a while since I was a tech guy. So.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Dan Nainan. We were introduced to Dan Nainan a couple of weeks ago. We had your best buddy, JL Coman, in here.
Yeah.
And I've been hearing these stories from Rob and Joe for about a month about you.
Yes.
Now, what? I know. Before we get into your everybody who's mad at you, everybody you're mad at, and all this war, you and I don't have too much history, so we hopefully not too mean.
We just started.
And I won't. We just started hating. We just started being nemesis.
Nemesis.
Is that the plural?
Yeah, I think so.
Nemesis.
Look it up.
Is everybody's the sound okay? Are you you're good on your headphones? We're good.
Yeah.
I'll make the mics hot in here. And we will try to get into it. But we're going to ask the tough questions today, Dan. You ready for this? You ready to get grilled by your public?
I am.
You're a comedian. You're used to being in front of people, so this is going to get intense.
Okay.
Somebody's saying there's mad echo. I think they're just this is an ongoing meme in our group where they fool me and try to tell me there's a problem with the audio. So I frantically search around.
Can you screen?
No, he doesn't have to worry. There's no echo. You're hearing what's going out, so it sounds pretty good to me.
Sounds great.
These are expensive microphones. We've got a great room echo in here.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to have a good time. Now, Dan, I just want to get some background on you. Let's dive into this. I want to know how you start. You worked for Intel.
Yeah.
It
was my job to travel the world with the executives and do technical demos on stage. And what happened was I was very adept, of course, at the technical side of things, being an Indian and Japanese guy. In fact, when I applied for the job at Intel, they said, "You're Indian and Japanese. You don't even have to interview," right?
Yeah.
And no, I'm joking. But so the tough part, though, was speaking on stage. And these were at events all over the world. It could be in Thailand or Australia, whatever. And it was really terrifying to speak in front of thousands of people, sometimes millions on TV. So first, I went to Toastmasters, and Intel had a Toastmasters club on campus, and that wasn't quite the same as being on stage because it's me and 11 other computer nerds in a room. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So then I had the idea, you know what? There was a comedy class being offered by Judy Carter.
Okay.
And, who normally works out of LA. She was offering a class in
She
San
has
Francisco.
comedy books for people who don't know.
Bible,
She's like this... supposedly like the sage,
she's amazing
comedy teacher.
Yeah, I know she's fantastic, and I
went to speak up a little bit because I can't.
I'm sorry.
Make it too hot.
I went to her class, and I remember in the very first class.
Is that an earring?
Where in
your head?
Two of them.
Two of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a heavy metal. I play in a heavy metal band.
You're like an Indian Boy George.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
So anyway, long story short, on the first class, Judy said, "Now listen, you can go do these clubs, and you'll be lucky to get a water, and even the water's watered down in the clubs, and you'll get $10 or whatever, or you can do these corporate gigs and get $20,000 and be flown first class and have a suite in a hotel." And that just blew me away. I didn't believe that. I was like, there's no way. And then the other thing I remember is in the first...
Now, how old were you?
I was... okay, we're getting into that already.
I mean, at that time. I'm not saying now. How old were you at that time?
I think I was...
is your age going to be a problem
60.
for this show?
Yeah.
60. Okay.
I was 60 at the time, yeah.
No, I'm saying it's weird to believe that an adult didn't know that that's a career, that that's an option. Of course you can get flown around to speak.
I had no idea because I was new to comedy. I had no clue. And what she was telling me was just shocking to me. I mean, the only way I'd been exposed to comedy was going to clubs, you know, like everyone else with friends and whatever. And so I didn't believe this was possible. And the other thing that I remember in that class was I said, do you think I'm going to be at a disadvantage by being racially mixed? She goes, oh, no, that's going to be your biggest advantage.
Believe me, that's the selling point in this business.
It is now. And things have, you know, really, it's amazing what has happened. And anyway, so that's how I got started.
So, I mean, how did you start? Did you go to an open mic at a club?
No.
Where did you start out? I mean,
no. The final exam, or the last
class.
Was at the Punchline in San Francisco.
Okay.
Right. Great club. And you know, I rehearsed my lines my act over and over and over and over. I got a conference room at Intel, and I just read it, you know, and memorized it over and over. I called my girlfriend at the time. You know, she laughed at some of it, and I practiced it in the car on the way up to the Punchline. I came from Santa Clara up to the Punchline, and you know, I got there. I was late, and she put me on towards the end, and it was packed, and I friggin' destroyed.
Yeah.
And now I did some off-color stuff. I have the tape. You know, I can send it to you, but I have the tape.
Please don't send any tapes in. We don't have a way to play tape here.
Okay.
What year is this?
I'll digitize it.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean,
these guys, stop mailing tapes into me. I've got a stack of tapes over here, and I don't even know what to do with this tape.
Right. So it was an amazing experience, and I was floating, and it was packed, and you know, I get on stage, I can only see like a few people up front, and then the lights are bright, and I was terrified. But
this is your first time in a real show.
Ever done comedy ever? Yeah. And it went really, really well. And fortunately, thank goodness, I got the tape. And
thank God.
And yeah, because they saw, I showed it to some folks at Intel, and we were at a convention out in Vegas.
Yep.
And they said, hey, why don't you perform at the team dinner? And it was like 250 Intel folks. I did mostly Intel jokes, impersonations, and someone came up to me and said, What's
an Intel impersonation? How do you act like a microchip?
No. I did some Intel jokes and some impersonations.
Oh, okay.
I impersonated the CEO, and you know.
Now, how did you get an impersonation? How did you decide that was a route you wanted to go? Because I don't do any impersonations.
Right. And of course, if you do impersonations, you're a hack, right? Unless you're J.L. Coven, right? Then it's okay. Right?
Yeah. I mean, he's doing some like out there on the fringe stuff. You're doing like presidential stuff. He's doing.
Well, but there are those comics, those purists who say, you know, you can't do guitar comedy, you can't do puppets, you can't do impersonations, you can't do this in the United States of America. Telling me what I can or cannot do as an artist.
But I feel like this is one of the biggest, and for people who have no idea who Dan Nainan is, we're painting a slow picture here. But I mean, I feel like that's part of like the core of what makes all these feuds happen, is you feel like the world is telling you, or at least the comedy world is telling you, you're hacked, don't do this, don't do that, you're doing it wrong. And your kind of attitude is,
I'm an artist.
Who are these people telling me I'm doing it wrong?
I
want to make it very clear up top, I don't think you're doing anything wrong. Do whatever you want to do.
Right.
It sounds to me like when you were presented with these options, look, you can work for chicken wings and $10 in clubs, or you can go out and make thousands and thousands of dollars to be put up in hotels. You made a business decision to go, I want to make a living out of this. It's a business decision.
No. It was more, it's just, you know, the material I did happened to be stuff that people liked, and you know, my audience grew and grew, and it's like, you know, it's almost like someone saying, well, hey, you know, you could have done A, but you chose to do B instead because you could get a bigger audience. Now, that is not true. I mean, I've done, you know, the same kind of stuff. And Rob will tell you, he says, you never change your material, which is not true, by the way. We'll get into that.
We will get into that.
Right.
Don't think I'm letting anything go today, Dan.
Okay. All right. But he says, you know,
lock the door, Shuby.
But I mean, this is the material I've done from the beginning. I did not change anything. There's a presupposition that, well, you could have done what's true to you, but instead you chose to do something else, and you're a sellout and whatnot, right? Now, here's part of the problem, is in the comedic community, you have these comedians who make fun of the same and vilify the same comics. Dane Cook, Larry the Cable Guy,
please call him Dan Whitney.
Dan Whitney, Jeff Dunham, who else? Carrot Top. And it's like, Russell Peters. These are the people who expand the comedy audience. If Dane Cook is doing a 20,000 seat show, or Jeff Dunham, this helps all of us. A rising tide lifts all boats, right?
Sure.
They're more fans of comedy. Louis C.K. And well, I don't think anyone gives him any grief, but except for J.L. Cauvin.
I do. I got to say this. I was just watching last night. I don't know if you watched Louis, the show. I don't know if you watch television.
Do not watch any television.
Wow, okay.
None.
You're one of these guys.
No.
Actually, I don't even have a team.
No. The only things I do watch are the NFL playoffs,
okay,
and the Super Bowl. Those are literally the only television. And if there's an emergency.
Yeah, but you seem like the kind of guy who would brag about what a big television he has.
Well,
you have a 90-inch television that you watch just those 9 games on? I mean,
well, I was at the Super Bowl last year, so
wow, okay.
And as a guest of one of the companies, by the way,
right.
But I am not. I just don't have time. Someone said, an author friend of mine said, when you're watching television, you're watching other people do what they love doing for a living and making millions of dollars. Which side of the glass do you want to be on? The side of the millions watching passively, or the people who are having fun and making money? That's why I don't watch television.
What are you doing now? What's this? Are you cutting yourself?
Hand cream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my hands are.
Please moisturize before the show next time.
I'm so sorry.
It's very rude. Do you remember the first joke you ever wrote in that class?
The first joke.
And do you still do it?
Yeah, the first joke, well, the very first joke that I do to open pretty much every show, well, not anymore, is, hey, you're probably wondering, what race is that guy? And you saw on that clip, by the way, that's from a DVD. I did not alter that. That is like genuine laughter for like 30 seconds off my first joke.
Oh, I have no doubt that you're getting in a, I've done 5,000 seat places.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a sea of, once that wave builds,
when the audience is
I want to be very upfront. I'm not doubting you do the gigs. I'm not doubting that you kill on the gigs.
Well, but they're saying, oh well, you monkeyed with the audio, and these are fake laughs and so on.
Well, you could have a video where you've done that. We have a lab out analyzing all your videos right now. They're going to call in later, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. We also have a polygraph engineer coming in later to issue a polygraph. Okay. So that's going to be good. So you still do that. That's one of the new. Now, how much material do you have now? How many years have you been doing comedy?
About 12.
Okay. Yeah. So how much material do you have now?
I could do, 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours.
Yeah, I could. Maybe 3.
Of 7-Eleven and racial.
No, it's not.
No, I'm kidding.
No. No. And that's the other thing is, you're probably wondering what race is that guy. Now, J.L. Cauvin is making fun of me for that being a hack statement. Now, pull up his Craig Ferguson appearance. He's like, hey, so people always ask me, what are you? Right?
Yeah.
Now, why is that okay? But I can't say, what race is that guy? Tell me that.
Well, JL's, good and funny and out there. Well, you can do whatever he wants. You can't. You got to rein it in a little.
Right. I have to do what other comedians tell me to do, right? Not what the audience likes, but what other comedians think I should be doing. Just like if I tell a band, well, you shouldn't be doing rap or you shouldn't be doing country. In the United States of America, I can say that.
Well, so here's what one of the biggest things detractors say about you is that, and I agree. I've gone on and looked at several of your videos. It feels like it's the same set every time I pull up a video.
Right. That is a business. That is what Rob Mayer is making fun of me for. The thing of it is I don't want to put
John Mayer.
John Mayer, right? Him too. Everyone. I don't want to put up new video because if I put up new video, then I can't
to write new jokes.
I cannot do it live. And I'm doing a set now. When I'm at a place like the Hyatt Regency Bethesda, right? I'm going to do with my regular. When I'm with other comics.
Please don't drop venue names. That's
I'm sorry. Right. And by the way, Joe, I made 50, not 25 that night. 50. That's another thing.
Well, we'll get to. See, nobody knows who Rob and Joe and JL are yet. We haven't even gotten into that.
They were on your
stuff.
show 2 weeks ago.
I know, but people are dumb and they don't have good memories. You have to realize we all smoke weed and drink pot.
You drink pot, okay?
Yeah, I make a pot tea.
And you smoke alcohol.
Yeah,
okay.
and I actually smoke liquid.
All right.
But people, so give me an example. Like, what's the late? If you're writing jokes all the time and but you see how that makes sense. You're going, I don't want to put new material up because then I can't do it, and yet that's why everybody's going like, oh, he just does the same set every time.
Yeah.
Glaze.
Well, yeah, but then someone would literally have to be at 1,300 of my shows to know that. And who has been to every one of my shows? Has Rob, have you been to every one of my shows?
Yeah.
No, you haven't.
So you do constantly wrise new material.
Constantly, all the time. Here's my phone. Anytime I think of a new joke, it goes in the phone right away. It's not off. That's
you keep all your jokes in the cloud.
The jokes go, into my notes file. I have another file I can show you called Newest Jokes. I have thousands and thousands and thousands
What's
of
one
jokes.
of the newest jokes you're working on? Give us a hit. Let me tell you what I did. Last night I worked on a new one where I talk about how I'm not going to get a helicopter. If I ever get rich, a lot of people want to get helicopters. I'm not getting one because it comes with all kinds of helicopter problems where you got to park it. You think your friends want you to help them move when you have a truck. Imagine having a helicopter.
Right.
Can we use your helicopter this weekend to go to the whatever? So it's this bit
It's
I'm
been
working
done
on
before.
About not getting a helicopter?
The president, look at Obama on a helicopter online.
Well, I'm hacky. So I'm doing,
but that's okay, see?
But I'm just giving you an example of a joke I'm working on right now. So give me an example of a joke you're fleshing out right
the thing is, I've realized you should never do jokes one-on-one because there's like a 50% chance of
this is one on thousands.
Right, but I can't hear them laughing. All right.
I have a laugh track.
This is my Tesla key, the Tesla that Rob Mayer said, Nainan has a Tesla. This is my Tesla key. Now, if you push on the hood
It'll
opens.
Start somewhere.
If you push the trunk. And I said, well, I wish my last
The key is a Hot Wheel?
What's that?
The key is just Hot Wheels?
Well,
a model of the Tesla?
Yeah, it's cool. It's like you push on the part that you want to open, and then, like if I want the trunk to open, then I'll push that. Right?
I got to give it to you. That's a good new joke. Really good stuff. Really
I didn't say the joke.
Oh,
though.
okay. I'm sorry. I was confused.
I said so. I wish my last girlfriend was like that. Right?
I get it.
Like you push on the part you want to.
You
open.
had like a voodoo doll of her.
Right, and I've done that. This joke last week.
You don't do for the people listening. You don't use profanity on stage or a clean comedian.
Never use profanity.
Did you ever do that, or did you made that decision up top that you were going to be a clean comic?
In my very first set, I did some profanity, and Judy Carter said, take these out. Take these out. It'll make a big difference. In your career. And she said,
especially if you want to do corporate stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had no clue I was going to be doing corporate at that time. But she just said, this joke, one was a masturbation joke. She goes, don't do that. And, of course, every comic does that. But her advice was great. She changed my life.
Pull that a little closer. I'm sorry. It's just really quiet.
She changed my life. So.
Okay. And you also, this is a thing that came out when asked sometimes about how you got to start in comedy. I read some interview where you said Seinfeld influenced you into get comedy, but I read another one where you were like, he told me to work clean. Now, did you ever meet Seinfeld? Did he ever tell you that, or was this just an interview you read about him?
At Gotham Comedy Club. Yeah, I met him.
But he told you should work clean.
I asked him for advice. Everyone says, don't talk to him. You can't talk to Seinfeld, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
I went up to him, and I asked him for advice.
You just walked right up to Seinfeld, poked him in the chest, and said, "Hey, bub." No, I'm kidding. But you said, "What? Can you give me any advice in comedy?" And he said, "Work clean."
Exactly.
Now, why would he say that when he doesn't know you or your personality? Because, like, if anyone told me that, even Seinfeld, I'd be like, "That's not who I am. That's not what I want to do." So that advice wouldn't fit the template of what I do.
Well, no.
Why? That's weird advice to give someone that you don't know.
That's not the only thing. It wasn't like that's not the only thing I asked him. I said, "Hey, do you have any advice? Work clean." It wasn't like that. We had a conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your endorsement reel. You have a very extensive reel of that people can go watch on your website or YouTube, where you have everybody from Woz to Obama.
Now I'll tell you where I got
endorsing you.
I'll tell you where I got that
comedian.
idea. I got that idea from a friend who I've
Joey Greco from Cheaters, where they jump out and make people say things on camera real fast.
Is that television?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of television references, Dan. We live in America.
I know. So, a friend of mine sent me a reel where he has Louis C.K. and Chris Rock and Ray Romano and like every big name, talking about him and how great he is. He's never posted that online. I said, listen, let me help you. This is amazing. And he's never posted it. And that gave me the idea to start getting testimonials from people.
But I think this is where a lot of the accusations of stretching the truth begin with you. It's with this reel. Because anybody can see the Obama, what does Obama say? Now, in your signature, he says, you're fucking hilarious. Does Obama say that?
He said, well, what happened was he said, he started to say Dan
Will you even say fucking, like on a radio show?
No.
Like in your personal life, you don't use profanity?
No, that's not true. I mean, come on. But I'd rather not on radio. But Dan, anyway, Obama
we have
goes...
a clean show here anyway.
He goes, Dan is... And he started to say funny, and for some reason he stopped and he said hilarious, right?
So he didn't say effing hilarious.
No.
But this is in your signature. You see, so this is where it all starts, I think. Is this embellishment of like, click here to watch Obama call me effing hilarious.
Right, but think about it. I mean, how could you not click on that? That's the idea, is to get them to click on that, right?
Yeah, but it's a lie, right? I mean, that's not what he says.
Right, but I mean,
and also, it's very apparent that you rushed him and were like, come on, say I'm funny. Like, and this is why people, I think, don't think it's genuine or that it's misleading. When you say, I performed for Hillary Clinton, and your proof of that is you at a podium, and then it just cuts to her at the same podium.
Right. Well,
was she even in the room? Nobody even knows. Maybe you didn't perform for Hillary.
Yeah, I mean,
she got rushed in at the last minute by Secret Service and for her speech, and then left.
But I couldn't get her to say, I couldn't. Actually, I wasn't doing testimonials at the time. And by the way, you said the video quality is awful. I mean, it is what it is.
I couldn't get my iPhone to shoot video that looks as bad as some of your and also your photos, like of your steaks. You're doing injustice to steak. I don't know how what are you putting on the lens of your iPhone 6 Plus to make the photos that shitty?
No, this is the phone, but but here's the thing. I performed for everyone you saw in that reel, right?
Yeah.
And you can see like Wozniak going on and on saying, hey, your act was hilarious.
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought that up. So Wozniak says you're the funniest comedian out there working. He said something to that effect, correct?
Correct.
Now, you're not the funniest comedian.
No, of course.
Or do you believe that?
Nowhere near it. No, I wouldn't. No, J.L. Calvin believes he's the funniest comedian.
I don't think he does.
Oh, listen to his podcast. That's all he talks about, how great he is. And this is one of the top 4 comedy albums in the world this year. And I'm really
his
handsome.
Album?
Yeah. It's just this over and over of the self-aggrandization.
I haven't heard it. I got to go listen to JL's podcast.
I can find the clips for you.
But he brags about himself being attractive and the funniest.
He says he's attractive. He calls me ugly. Right? He calls me repeatedly. Him and his friend Brian McGinnis have called me ugly in public, on camera, or on podcast, whatever, vlog. And he says he thinks he's one of the funniest comedians.
But you're an allegedly 33-year-old man. I'm older than you. Listen, son. Which we'll get to in a minute.
Hey, let me show you. Let me show you this audition I have.
Do you have Tesla logo on your phone?
I do.
Dear Lord.
And let me show you this audition.
What year is your Tesla?
It's 2014.
Okay, that's old shit. Dan, so you got to get a new one.
This is an NFL audition I have, right, for the NFL. Now let me just show you the age range here. NFL $500, $2,500, $2,750 for the third year. Blah 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 blah. Men, any ethnicity, 28 to 33.
For what?
Great comedic actors, regular guys, not models.
Right.
That means JL can't do it because he's a model, right?
So, I mean, what are you showing me that for? What's that supposed to prove?
That the age range is 28 to 33.
For who?
For anyone who wants to try out for that.
Try out for what?
This commercial tomorrow for the NFL.
Right. But okay, so let's just get into that. I mean, are you saying you're 33 years old? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm 74. I just turned.
But jokes aside, I mean, this is a serious. You can't say your age. This is where it comes from, though. If you can't say how old you are,
what difference does it make? Why is that so important?
But why is it so? Yes, exactly. Why is it so important? Why
is
do
it
you
important?
care so much?
Well, I'm 74. I'm telling you, I look amazing for
You're
74.
not 74.
I am 74.
But if you were 54, you look amazing for 54. Why not just own that?
I look great for 44.
Right. I agree.
Now, I'm not saying I'm good looking. I'm saying I look good. Right?
I think
There's a difference.
for your age, for what people have allegedly said your age is, but I think this is a little first step. I mean, can you not tell us how old you are? Can you not say it?
I'm 74.
No, I mean seriously, Dan, not dodging.
I'm 74.
I mean, this is insane to not be able to say your age. Like, I'm 35. It's just what it is.
Right.
But for you to sit there, you had a Wall Street Journal article this week that said you were 33. I mean, what are we doing?
That's a lie. I turned. My birthday was after that. I was before that.
Right, but why can't you just go? There's a police report with your age and birthday in it.
Yeah, well, something got messed up with my birth certificate. I'm really 74, guys, girls. It's all guys.
So this is the game you play. I mean, honestly, this is insane to not be able to just say I'm 54.
I'm 74.
Dan, I mean, we can't even build on anything if we can't have an honest discussion about it. Like, why is that why is it so important to you that people think you're in your 30s?
Well, I mean,
is it just a marketing thing? I mean, I get it. You're a marketing guy.
I'm a marketing guy.
No doubt that you've figured out how to market yourself very successfully.
Yes.
No one's arguing with that.
Right. And that's half of it.
Oh, I didn't mean to do it. I really just hit that by accident. Sorry. You saw me hit that by accident.
No worries. But see, that's half of it. Half of it is you've got to be funny, but you also have to. It's show business, right? Show and business, and this is a lot of things that people do not understand, and they're like, well, why is this guy getting all this work? Go to my website. My phone number is there. You go to JL or any of those.
Don't tell our listeners that you're already getting prank phone calls every day from people.
No, but I mean, it's like how if you go to my website, my number is at the top of every page, no matter where you go on that website.
Yeah.
No matter where you go. Now, I've actually had comedians criticize me who not only don't have a phone number, they don't have an email. It's like, how am I supposed to book you?
What does any of this have to do with your age?
Nothing. But I'm just saying that
Spin doctor.
We're talking about marketing.
Right, but
now let's go back.
But can you say I'm 54? Can you ever say that?
You're 54.
No, you.
I'm 74. I'm telling you.
No, I'm being serious. Like, on a one-to-one human level, you won't admit your age. It's just something you're not. It's part of your package.
I'm 74.
You're not going to tell people that you're 54.
I'm 74 and I look 33, according to my.
I would agree that you look like you're in your 30s.
Right.
I'm not arguing the look, and I'm not arguing that you can pass as it.
Mm-hmm.
But why can't you go
33?
Because you're trying to get people to believe if you go to classmates.com that you graduated in 99. I graduated in 98. You're trying to tell people you're younger than me. Come on.
If we went on the street, right? If we went on the street right now, and then we asked like some girls, hopefully, what ages are we? Well, first of all, what race is that guy?
Again, I'm not arguing what you look like. I'm just saying, why is it such a big deal to you that people think you're younger?
Let's talk about the testimonial reel. Let's go back to that.
Well, hold on. Okay. If you don't want to say you're 54, that's fine.
I'm 74.
How about this? Will you admit that you say that you're younger in media?
I'm 74 and I say I'm 34. Yes.
No, don't do the 74 thing, because
I'm 74.
But you have to understand that it takes
Born in
away.
1941.
Stop it! It takes away from everything you say on the show today if you can't give me some kind of honesty out of this. I mean, seriously, let's build on something. You don't have to say the age. You don't want to put it out there that you're 54 and admit that. But just admit that you do skew your age younger when you do interviews. You lie. You tell people that you're a younger age than you are.
I'm telling them
That's
I'm
fair.
23. Yeah.
Don't put numbers on it that aren't true. But I'm saying, I mean, we're not going to get anywhere if you can't. You said you were going to come on and you were going to be honest. Nobody's going to.
I didn't say I was going to be honest, or that
yeah,
I was
you
going to
did,
say
but
anything.
nobody's going to believe you later when you defend yourself to Joe and Rob if you can't be on. Like, come on, man.
If they don't believe me, I don't care. I honestly don't care. They now I sent you the clip of this. Now Rob said on your podcast 2 weeks ago, what the firehouse that I paid him $600.
No. I don't want to move on to a new thing yet.
Wait, hold on.
I just want to finish the age thing.
he said that I bombed, right? And then I sent you a clip where he said I did really well.
Right. Yes.
So they're lying a lot. They're lying a lot more than any
everyone
lie I could
lies.
ever tell.
I lie.
Right.
Everyone lies.
Rob said
But you can't say that you lie. You won't say that you lie. Enough about everybody else. This is the Dan Nainan hour.
Everyone lies. I lie. You lie. What's your name again? Shuby lies. Everyone lies.
So
about
do
something.
you lie about your age?
Everyone lies about something.
Okay.
Yeah,
We got
I'm
our
74. I lie and I say I'm 33.
We got our first phone call. Hello, you're on with Dan Nainan.
Yeah, it's Joe Robinson. How you doing?
Hi, Joe.
Oh God, my man.
This is Joe. I mean, wouldn't you agree? 10 minutes here. Like, I want to build a base of honesty, and we can't even get this going.
Well, it's just interesting because he comes across he's almost trying to be humble, but he can't do it. He still has to mention the Tesla. He still has to let you know he doesn't watch TV. He still has to let you know he was at the Super Bowl. Like, he can't just try to be a real person. It can't happen.
Well,
and
again,
here you are in a place where he's been busted, by the way. He got arrested at the DC Improv. You got to see his age on the arrest report. He's 54. By the way, who gives a shit? Who cares that he's 54?
Right.
Nobody cares.
That's my point.
But
Right. Well, why do you belabor it so much then?
Well, you're the one who makes a thing. But you're the one who makes a thing out of it. When I read an article from a month ago that says you're 28, and then an article comes out this week that says you're 33.
28? That's not true. What
you were like on a millionaires in their 20s article.
I was.
Can I tell you what
man.
he just mentioned about Rob saying that he bombed? As soon as Dan said, "You said I bombed," Rob goes, "You know what? You're right. You didn't bomb." Because that's what happens.
Yeah.
You know what? Sometimes you say things in the heat of battle or whatever, and then once you're busted, you're like, "Yeah, of course, I'm a human." Not this motherfucker. He won't stop. Is it even funny to continue to say you're 74? No, you try to pretend you're younger because you think that's marketable. Okay, but then you get busted, and then you're a human, and you just say, "You know what? You got me."
Yeah, I mean, if you go,
douche out of yourself.
I mean, Whitney Cummings is 24. And
who is that?
Who's Whitney Cummings?
Yeah.
Are you a comedian?
I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
She does smaller venues than you, but
that's the other thing. I mean,
but she looks like Skeletor. It's like you're not 24.
Who's Skeletor?
Who's Skeletor?
I don't know who Skeletor is. I'm out of it. I'm sorry. But
we got Dan saying he's out of it.
Joe, Patrick, let's step back a second. Now, let's step back a second. Now, Joe keeps saying it was 3 years ago. But 2 years ago, I performed at the Hyatt Regency Bethesda, okay? A fantastic venue.
Name dropping again.
For $50, all right? Now,
in one of their junior suites or in the showroom?
It's an arrangement. It's not important. But so Joe is a headliner. Okay, Joe is funny. I go up to Joe and I say, "Hey, man, you're really funny. It's nice to meet you." And then Joe says something about, "Well, hey, that joke you're doing about the Gray's donut, you should change it a bit, right? And you should make it like this." And he gave me a suggestion, and I thought it was ridiculously stupid. And at the same time, I said, "Okay, thank you very much. I didn't want to be rude."
For people who
don't know this,
Patrick,
same suggestion that you made when we talked about Gray's.
Right.
50 Shades of Grey. Suggesting something that was more topical.
Now the thing is, and then 2 weeks later or whatever, I hear a fan tells me, "Hey, these guys are ripping you on this podcast," and I listen to it, and like, first of all, 95% of what they were saying was completely false, and I can prove it. And then they're like, then they start taking apart my Gray's donut joke and saying, "Well, he should have done this or he shouldn't do this."
Well, I want to.
Hold on. Let me finish.
Let's say what the joke. I want to build a story here.
Okay.
The joke is,
Can you play it? Can you play the clip? Because it's a lot more effective.
I don't have your set pulled up.
Just tell it. It's not.
You were driving.
You're on first. Just tell the fucking stupid
Hey,
joke.
Joe, you're gonna need to fucking pipe down. Okay, we're building a story here. You can stand by, but you got to calm down, buddy. We get it. You hate this guy.
Okay, so this is now. Here's the thing. The thing is, this is a true story. Okay, this is a true story. This is not something.
This is what I'm saying. You maintain this is a true. Your dad and your mom.
We're driving to Dulles Airport. We see these cows grazing.
How old were you in this story?
I was a kid. All right.
So 38.
Yeah. So we're driving to the airport. We see these cows way out in the field, and my dad's like, "Hey, that's a word that can have a lot of different meanings, right? Like, for example, cows can graze." And then I said, "You can be grazed by a bullet."
Hold on, but who's driving along and just goes, "That's a word that can have a lot of meanings"? Because nobody said graze. How did graze come up?
No. Well, no. That. Oh, okay. We saw.
You wouldn't just be driving along, see a cow, and go, "That's a word that has a lot of meaning." What, cow?
Yeah, I guess someone's in the car that said, grazed or we're grazing or something like that. And then I said, "Well, yeah, or you could be grazed by a bullet." And then my mom says, "Or it's a kind of a donut." And then the four of us were like bursting out laughing, and we were just laughing and laughing about that. And then the thing of it is, though, whether it's true or not, and it is, the thing of it is
well, when you phrase it like that,
no, I'm saying, but if it were true or if it were not true, it's a joke that makes everyone laugh uproariously, and it's like, I usually tell it in the first couple of minutes, and it brings the crowd up to another level, right? And it's like, if the joke works, why change it?
Yeah.
Why? Now, if you don't like it, Joe, don't do it. Don't do that kind of humor.
Can I say this? First of all, I don't give a shit that you. First of all, it's not a true story because in that culture, art.
It's not a true story. All right, here, call my sister.
Let him.
That's not the point. The point is that
it's not true. You know. Hold on a second.
Dan?
You know it's not true. How do you know that, asshole?
Because I just told you. I just told
like
you.
that.
I'm going to call my sister.
I'm
going to call my sister right now. Okay.
Joe, you got to take turns. We got plenty of time. Just take turns.
He knows. He knows what happened to me in my life. In my life,
No,
you know what happened to me. You know that it's not true. How do you know that?
Correct.
How?
Correct.
How would you know
just
that?
said,
But why are you getting so mad about it? Who cares if he doesn't believe you?
Well, how would you know that? How would you know that?
Dan, it's true. It's true. Move on. What I was going to say was that I don't give a shit about your Gray's donut joke. Well, you can tell it a million times.
No, you do give a shit. Yeah, you do, because you were ripping. Play the podcast. Play the podcast. You ripped on that joke for 10 minutes on your podcast.
Dumbass.
You asshole. You ripped on it for 10 minutes.
God damn, you're the worst. The Dick Cheney part was a 15-year-old reference.
So what?
Yeah.
So that's the point. I don't care about Grays and Glazed. I don't care.
No, yes, you did. You ripped on me for saying that, and stop lying. Patrick, play that podcast right now.
I don't have it queued up.
Can you put it on right now?
Yeah,
I want you to listen to it.
Part. I can't.
He's ripping on me for like 15 minutes about that one joke.
I believe you.
And then he's trying to backtrack and say, "Oh, I didn't rip." Yes, you did. You know you did.
He's not. Joe, hold on,
Dan.
Joe.
Yeah, good.
You're not disagreeing that you ripped on that joke, right?
For 10 minutes.
I ripped on the joke. Yeah.
Right now, you did rip on it. See,
okay, we're all in agreement then.
Right,
but it's true.
Dan, I did, and it's a completely true story. But the point that I was trying to make is when I came up and when I told you what I thought was wrong with the joke, it was about the Dick Cheney reference. I don't care if you tell.
No, it wasn't.
Tell them all day long.
No, you said you should. You said I should talk about Grey's Anatomy. Don't lie, Joe. Play the podcast, Patrick.
Of course I did. Yes.
No, now you're saying it was about the Dick Cheney joke, right? But you said it wasn't about the Greys, but it was.
Dick, listen. You said Dick Cheney gets grazed by a bullet. That was part of your joke. And I said to you, listen, that happened over a decade ago.
So what?
You need to update because there's a lot. Relax. There's a
well,
lot of things
also,
that have gray in it.
It was a political show in D.C. and you were trying to make a political.
It was not a political show.
But you were in D.C. where you were tying it into the fact that you're in D.C. and Cheney's a politician.
No, it has nothing to do with D.C. I do that joke all over the country.
You put the Cheney part in? I haven't seen that.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
The bottom line is this, Joe. It got a laugh. And then you have gone on your podcast and lied and said I bombed as the MC of this show. Why would Kurt have hired me? Kurt has hired me. I'll show you my. Go to my website. comediandan.com, click on shows, and then do a search on the Hyatt Regency and see how many times
Hey, Dan,
I performed over the years.
Have you worked there since then?
No, because you got me stuck.
Why? Because you were so amazing? I mean, explain that to me. You did well.
All right, hold on.
But now you can't work there.
So
I'll show you
years ago.
I'll show you the email from Kurt saying why he's decided not to book me. It's because of you guys.
Well, we're going to move forward.
Okay,
we can agree. Joe doesn't like your material, and he doesn't have to like your material.
Well, you don't have to like the material. So what? So, Joe, every comic has to do the material you approve of?
No, you don't.
Yes.
Matter of fact, you don't. You don't. But when I hear a reference that's 12 to 16 years old, and I go up and say, hey, there's a lot of things that are topical that have gray in it. And I mentioned 50 Shades of Grey, Grey's Anatomy, a million things that you can say.
50 Shades of Grey wasn't out then, Joe. 50 Shades of Grey was not out there, Joe. 50 Shades of Grey had not been out then.
What did you say?
50 Shades of Grey was not out then.
Holy shit, it wasn't out then? Dan, how long did you think we met?
2 years.
Right, it wasn't out?
It wasn't popular then. You did not say 50 Shades of Grey.
What, do you live under a goddamn rock? Are you serious?
No. Patrick, can you get that podcast
I'd
up?
have to cue it. Like I don't have the ability to sit here and scrub through and find the part.
Right, and we're live, right? So
it would take forever, yeah.
But here's the deal.
If I had it
50
queued up, I
Shades
could.
of Grey was out, Dan. It was out. And it also was hot and in the public's eye.
But Joe,
again, the point wasn't that. It was that you were making a 15-year-old reference.
So
I thought it was a bad idea.
So what?
But Joe, okay, well, let's.
So what?
Yeah, let's drop that because it
So I mean, I can't do it. Let me ask you a question. When is a joke okay for me to do then? When? I mean, how
I don't know
old?
if you're going to be making Nixon references. I think that would be a little too old.
If it gets a laugh,
I don't know. I think a Nixon joke would be more original.
If a Nixon joke gets a laugh, if a joke, okay, so I can't make any jokes about George Washington then?
You can't. What are you talking about? What's this can't?
Well, according to you, a world according to Joe Robinson.
Dan, I don't give a fuck. I literally.
But
said,
you ripped on me, Joe, for 10
Dan,
minutes
relax.
about that joke.
Okay. Well, Joe, you got to let him talk when he talks because you're just talking over.
Yeah, he's cutting me off.
But hold on, and I'm going to let everyone get their things out. I want to be fair here. But let's move on from this because this does nothing. Dan, he doesn't. You can do whatever material you want. Joe, you hate his whole act. You think it's dated and hack. That's fine. Let's move on from that. We agree on all that, right?
Fair.
Yeah, but
Joe hates your act. He's allowed to hate it.
Fine, but the thing
and you're allowed to do your act. So let's move on from that.
No. But the thing is, what you know, it's this whole thing about comics saying you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this in the United States of America. Now, if you want to restrict what material people can do, go to friggin' North Korea or Iran or somewhere or China where they restrict what you can say on stage.
I am not a gook. Get it? It's a Chinese Nixon joke. Okay. Anyway,
no, I'm afraid to talk because I don't know when I don't hear.
Joe, don't play the victim now.
Joe is example of this comics who are failures, right? Who are failures who say this comedian should not, Dane Cook should not do this. J.L. Coven says that he hates Jeff Dunham, right? And he hates Amy Schumer, and he hates so and so, and he hates so and so, and it's like the guy is working Thursday at the Creek in the Cave on a free show in Long Island, right?
Yeah.
That's
what
what
does
I
that
have
mean?
a problem
You have to
with.
like every movie you see because you're not there.
No,
what
I'm just saying if you're such a great comic, then why aren't you doing? Okay, you admit that and you have said many times you're a much better comic than I am, correct?
Well, everybody thinks that, Dan.
Right. Okay. So why aren't you doing at least as well as I'm doing then?
Okay. This whole point is moot. You don't like his material. He can do the material like this. We'll just go round and round about this. Who cares? This isn't the hack police. So, like, this doesn't solve anything, right? You're not going to make.
True,
you're not going to make him.
Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
I don't. Who says he can't do this material?
You did on your
podcast.
You ripped me apart for 10 minutes for that Grace Jones joke.
Yes.
And then you try to deny it. You liar. Patrick, play.
I can't play it, Dan. I believe you. He said yes.
You have an Indian guy right here. Can you pull it up?
He doesn't even have internet access. No one's denying that. I believe he did it. Joe's an asshole. I get it.
It's online.
I'm with Joe.
And here's the worst part is I was perfectly nice to him when I met him.
I know, Dan. Dan, you have to. Yeah, shut up, Joe.
I mean, you know.
Who gives a shit if I was nice to him?
Here's the thing. Yeah, of course everybody's nice. I'm telling you this. If I would have done a show with you and you were emceeing, and then after the show you set up a CD, a book, whatever Joe said you were selling 3 or 4 things, I'd probably come on my podcast and be like, this MC had like a flea market going.
What's wrong with that? I mean,
it's funny. It's just funny.
Do you see
because
this?
It is
do you
bad.
see this? This came from my CD, DVD, and book sales.
Your Tesla
a
key.
$90,000 car came from my CD, DVD, and book sales.
How do we know you didn't just go buy a key?
I mean, I've got video. I've got
No, I know.
Jeez, my God.
But let's move on from this because this is just so for the people who don't understand. This is Joe Robinson, comedian in D.C.
Failed comedian in D.C.
Well, that's to be determined. He's not done yet, is he?
Well, I mean, Joe quit. All right, Joe quit comedy not once but twice. The first time he quit comedy,
Dan on the offensive. I like this
because he saw Dave Chappelle and he said I could never be as good as that guy. I didn't quit guitar because I saw Edward Van Halen. I didn't quit comedy because I saw so and so. I've never quit. Hey, pal, that's my 6th instrument, and that was the first day I was playing.
You're horrible at it.
I was horrible at it at that time. Joe, it was my first day. I'd never had a lesson.
And that's why he brought his violin. Take the violin out there.
So okay. See, when he makes fun of me, it's a
What
joke.
he said in
But-
here. Oh.
Yeah, but
Look, Joe,
you're an asshole,
Joe.
Joe.
You gotta wind
and you're a
it down.
failure. You failed. You quit comedy because you saw Dave Chappelle, and then when I met you, you said you'd already quit. You quit comedy twice, Joe. You quit comedy twice, and you're nowhere. You do these shows in Arbutus and Magoobies, and you have a day job, and you're a friggin' failure. Okay, you're
Okay.
a failure, Joe.
So,
and
hold
so
on.
is JL Coven, and so now Rob is actually pretty
So-
funny. And so is
I
Patrick.
don't know. Am I
not
supposed to
Patrick.
defend this,
So
or
is
do I just
No, you can say
it's up to
Patrick.
you?
That's fine.
no, you're not a
We'll leave
failure.
that
I
in.
just
You're a
covered the
tour-
NFL draft for the flagship station for the Ravens. I mean, what does that mean?
You're not a comic
I'm
though.
just saying, again, I'm not you. I don't need to affirm myself.
No,
for
and then
but
you go and
I'm
you
just-
put up a
what is this?
podcast, Joe. You put up a podcast with all these lies, and like 98% of them are lies. No, it was not Jimmy Merritt who headlined my club. It was Joey Vega. Jimmy Merritt headlined.
Who cares?
I mean,
okay, then it was
featured.
Joey
Guys.
Vega. You have a failed club. Who
Guys.
cares? I got the name wrong.
Guys.
Well, I don't understand.
Joe.
Sorry, Patrick.
no.
I'm trying my best.
Well, no, it's fine. It's fine, and I do.
And Brad Garrett asked for me to open for him at the Arlington Cinema and Draft House.
Okay, but here's the thing too. So all these, you've already admitted that, like with these endorsements, you kind of fudge the truth a little bit on it. There's one where you
no,
say,
I didn't fudge the truth.
no, like Obama doesn't say you're fucking hilarious,
Right, but I mean,
But,
look, dude,
so-
I have an endorsement from the President of the United States.
That you just, yeah, but if you walk up to anyone on the street and go say this,
No,
real
that is-
fast, they'll
dude,
kind of
all
just,
of those people saw me at shows. All of them saw me.
Obama
at shows.
came to a show.
Obama. I was at an event with the president. I'll show you. I have the full tape.
But is it like Hillary in the sense that I don't think Hillary was in that room when you performed? I think she just
absolutely-
came in.
She came in towards the end of my performance, just like Wozniak did.
Okay, but we both admitted that Wozniak going, you're the funniest comic out there working. Wozniak doesn't know comedy from Segway up his ass.
I didn't tell him to say that.
Right, of course. But I'm just saying the endorsement doesn't carry any weight. And when
It
you
sure
say
does.
when you say something like click here to see Tim Conway introduce me in front of 4,000 people, I mean that clip, Dan, I'm not saying I wouldn't put it up because it's clearly a TV show or something that is in, right? Like it's a television. It's a professionally filmed thing. But Tim Conway doesn't know who you are, and that he's just going, this next guy, oh, he's great. You're going to love him. It's this guy. Like he doesn't know you, right? So that's not endorsing you. So there is some disingenuine.
I never
behind it.
said in the email that he's endorsing me. I said click here to see Tim Conway introduce me in front
But
of.
why is
4,500
that
people.
important to the
Dude, let me show you and the viewer something here, okay?
Okay.
This is my list of shows, okay? This is my list of shows. I don't know if they can see it. This is my list
it
of
up
shows.
closer to the-
all right.
you can see
This
it
is
here.
my list of shows. These are my shows that JL Calvan says are all fake, by the way.
Yeah.
And you can go, and this is why I wanted to show you before we got on the air.
Sure.
You can pull up a contract for any of these shows, all right? These are the shows I am booked on. Patrick, I am doing something right,
I believe you.
all right?
I'm not. You are successfully marketing yourself and making a lot of money doing comedy. I'm not
Yeah,
arguing
I
with that,
believe
and we
that
need
too.
to. But we need
I mean,
to put
you know,
that point.
I don't think. I mean, it's true.
But we need to stop
You're a
arguing
good
that
marketer.
point. You need to stop. We believe that. So let's let that go. We believe you are doing comedy for thousands of people. You're flying all over the world. No one denies you're in first class. No one denies you're eating steak.
Although you
Let's
did
put all
say
that.
you did say that I'm
Well,
taking pictures, fake pictures.
That
in
one
first
photo,
class.
no, I didn't say that. I said it could be done. That one photo is clearly while people are boarding or deplaning, correct? You're in a
Yeah.
seat, no one else
People
is sitting.
were boarding,
Yeah, okay.
right.
So that's all I said is it could be, like anyone could plop down for a second, get a picture, and then
Fair
go.
enough.
That's
All right.
all I said. I didn't say you faked it. And we've seen 38 different instances since then where it's very clear you're flying in first class and eating steak and
Right.
eating meals. Like, but let's put that aside because that's not important. I have steaks in the freezer. I go to restaurants and eat steak. We all eat steak. Steak's not a big.
Just had a steak on Sunday.
Okay, Joe, we're all doing very well.
And by the way, these ignorant people who say, "Well, you're Indian, you shouldn't be eating steak," have no
I said
clue. Joe said that.
Yeah,
Joe has
Patrick said that.
because Joe's
Yeah.
never been out of the country and doesn't even have a passport. Okay?
Yeah, actually, I have. But
Do you have a
okay.
passport?
I'm
No.
sorry.
Why?
Yeah,
So
no
Dan, I want to know why things are like your measure of like. So here's my point. You don't like to do. You don't want to do dirty comedy. You don't want to use profanity. You don't do innuendo jokes, I would imagine. Maybe you do a couple sexual things, but very just touching on it, maybe, but not getting too dirty or whatever.
Right.
Or maybe you don't even do that at all. I don't know. But if you can make a choice to not do that kind of comedy and those kinds of things and kind of direct your career in a certain way, we have to drop the argument of if he's so funny, whether it's JL or Joe or Rob or me or whoever, why aren't they performing at this theater? Why aren't they getting flown to Dubai to do this? Because not everybody wants to do that.
I understand.
So can we get that out of the way? That not everybody wants to be doing all the gigs.
I understand that. But if JL is so funny, okay, forget the theaters and forget the corporate. Why isn't he pass at a single club?
But can we admit this? Funny. I mean, how many comedians have you seen on professional television shows where you're just like, this guy's awful? Even you have to watch comedy sometimes and go, this is horrible.
He doesn't
I think you
watch
said the
TV,
same.
so
You said
you're
about
wrong.
Sean Rouse that he kind of ate shit in Irvine.
No, I didn't say that.
Or the crowd wasn't doing well, and then Schimmel went up and was like, "Ee guys, that was." If you ever want to feel good about your life, bring that guy on stage. Like whatever.
Yeah, how do you know that? Did you see that?
No, but I've done research. I listened to you say that.
Yeah, what happened was I was open. I was touring with Schimmel, which, by the way, is something else Joe and Rob said on their podcast. Is that I totally made that up, and I showed up at.
Well, I don't think that's. We'll get into all that too. But
Right.
I'm saying, everybody can kind of sitting around and going, "You're not funny. I'm funnier. I do these gigs." It's like you can be the funniest person in the world and not get booked anywhere. Can we agree on that? Like somebody can be way funnier and not getting as many gigs as the other person. It could be because of social skills. It could be because of time and availability. You made the leap where you're doing this full time. A lot of people just never make that jump. Maybe if Joe quit his job and all he did all day long was try to get booked places, maybe he would be getting gigs.
Patrick, this is the internet age. Okay, now more than any time.
How old is the internet?
Whatever. This is the internet. This is the time because of online video where if something is funny, if it is good, if people like it, then this more than any time ever is when if you are funny, then you will be discovered. You will be found.
Yeah, but that's a double-edged sword because there's also a plethora of content out there. So it's not necessarily true. Lightning still does have to strike. Just because you put a funny video up doesn't mean it's going to catch and go viral. There's so much crap out there.
No. I disagree with you because if it is funny, you'll send it out, you'll seed it to your friends, and if they don't like it, they'll just say, hey, that's really good. But if they like it, they'll send it to people, and that'll go on and on and on, and it'll spread outwards and go viral.
Well,
So everyone funny is already discovered or going to be discovered. That's your idea. That's what you're saying.
The cream rises to the top.
How
Yes.
fucking stupid that sounds.
yeah, but maybe
You understand how dumb that
the
is?
kettle's not done boiling, so maybe all the cream hasn't risen yet. Is that a good analogy?
If you are good at an artistic endeavor, then I believe that you'll find your audience. Now, Joe,
But maybe he just hasn't found it yet. Like, is it a race?
no, it's not.
Yeah,
a
I mean,
race.
who are we talking about? Are we talking about me?
You didn't make
Dan?
it until you were 50. Now you're 74.
I'm 74.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, give Joe a minute.
But you see, the thing of it is see, now here's the thing. Joe and JL and Rob and Nick Mullen, they were the ones who ripped on me, right, in the beginning. I didn't know who these guys were. It's not like I suddenly picked some random person to start picking on them.
How did you find out? So you did a gig with Joe. Joe goes on his podcast,
Right.
talks some shit.
Some fan
which Joe is
alerts
wont
me.
to do. Listen to
Right,
this guy.
right.
And
then the first email I sent Joe.
but how did you find out about it?
A fan said, hey, these guys are ripping on you.
Okay.
Now, see, the first email I sent Joe was, hey, here's my number. Please give me a call. There's a lot of stuff that's inaccurate here, right? And then the next weekend, he's going, hey, I'm not going to call him. He's like saying that to Rob. No, I'm not going to call that
probably-
guy.
but I
true.
probably wouldn't.
That is true.
And
Play
it's
the
not
next
true.
podcast. Play the next podcast. You're
Okay,
a liar,
let's play
Joe.
the next one, guys. Play it. No, I don't.
He
So
said,
what
I'm
we
not
did
going to
was
call
we-
that guy. That's what. This is a direct quote.
Just relax, Dan. Dan, we asked you to be on the show. I think you blew us off probably about.
The
6
reason being is
consecutive
because
times.
all right.
Okay,
Let me,
well, then listen,
Patrick,
just
can
don't-
you
you
stop
can't be
him from talking
insincere.
for a sec? Can you stop him from talking? Thank you. All right. The thing of it is that they asked me to be on the podcast. I thought about it. First, I said I might do it. The reason that I did not do it is because these people are highly disingenuous, and I knew what they would do is they would rearrange and they would cut it up and make me look bad. Now, what made me think that is because on that first podcast, they played a clip of me where you could not hear the audience laughing, right?
It's your
So they
clip,
took.
Dan.
Did they take the clip audience out?
It's
Or are you
your
saying?
clip.
I didn't put it up
funny.
there. I did not put
It's
it
a
up there,
comedy
Joe.
show.
Joe, I didn't put it up there. Someone else put it up there without my authorization. All right. Now,
Okay,
all you
but
can
this is
hear, is my mic, and you cannot hear the audience. Patrick, you were fair enough because you played one
I
of
just
my.
played one of the ones on your channel.
You played one of the best ones
Okay.
of the best shows. Probably the top 10 shows I've ever had. You were fair.
You do understand
You were
that
honest.
it's just as funny that when you say, what race am I, and you get a fucking 10-minute applause break, that's as funny as the silence. There's no difference.
Right, but you
Patrick's
purposely
trying to
played.
play something that's funny.
You purposely
understand that?
played. You purposely played the on purpose
Yes,
to make it
that's
look as
correct.
if no one
We
were
did.
laughing. And then you said I bombed at the Hyatt, which is not true. I have plenty of tape of me
Your
performing.
phone's flashing like there's a fire drill going on.
All right, I'm sorry. Let me turn it over.
Yeah,
I apologize.
But you do have this. There's something in you that is obsessed with controlling how you're viewed by people, instead of just kind of letting go and just going. Some people, because here's the thing, Dan, you're not going to control what everyone on the internet thinks of you. So why care? Why care that there's these 4 idiots in DC who think you're shit? Like, who cares? If there's a million people out there who think you're not, who cares?
If they're
if they're losers who aren't even working, doesn't that
like
diminish?
JL Coven or Nick Mullen.
But doesn't that diminish their opinion even more? So why spend so much time?
What I don't like is when they tell lies about me, like Andy Klein said that Brad Garrett never asked for me. Okay.
Yeah, but you can't run around the world straightening out story. Like, there's not enough time. Like, people are going to lie. People are going to talk shit. That just happened.
But let me ask you this: How did
Or
it
they're going to
start?
tell the truth.
How did it
and
start?
You don't want to be
How did it
exposed.
start?
That can also
It started because Joe Robinson put that podcast up about
Sure.
me. I would never have emailed him. I would have never have tried to contact him. Never said a word about him if he had not done that to me. Okay? He did it to me first.
Well, what started with you and JL? Didn't you anonymously shit all over him?
What
on
happened with
his
JL?
blog?
Yeah, just out of nowhere, right? No, what happened with JL is...
Yeah, how did JL become involved in...
Okay, here's what happened, all right? About 10, 12 years ago, there was a bulletin board called the Stand-Ups Asylum, okay? Which was based in New York City, but nationwide. Now, what happened was, on the Stand-Ups Asylum, one day, I posted a clip of me, and I said, this is, an audience, and here's my clip, and if anyone wants any help with learning how to edit video, because that was fairly new back then, let me know. What happens? 2 or 3 comics start ripping on me and saying, this is, this is awful. Josh Homer, okay? Sven Wexler. Now, Sven Wexler said, this is ethnic...
You're like that killer in that Adam
dude,
Sandler
it's
movie
so
where he's got a
bad.
list of people who he's going to...
Okay, so Sven Wexler says, this is ethnic material, this is really hacky stuff. What do? I go to Sven Wexler's site, I look at his video, he goes, I'm half Swedish and half Jewish, and it's like the exact same kind of joke I did. The exact same kind of joke.
It's bad too.
Right, and then Josh Homer is like ripping on me, just going on and on and on about,
But why do you... Like, there are so many people in this world, in this country, that talk shit about me. I mean, that's such a
what do you
waste
want
of
to
your
happen?
energy to, like, care.
well, I mean, I have...
What do you want to
if
happen?
you, Joe,
like,
if
you think you're going to be vindicated? People don't like your jokes?
No,
They think you're hacked?
But you
What do
see,
think's going to happen?
See, Joe, if a loser like yourself, okay,
Wow.
has to have...
Oh, shit.
who was
Shots fired.
who has quit comedy twice, right? And
Yeah, I
whose
did,
best
actually.
show, right, is in the basement of a Hyatt Regency, which you ripped on. By the way, Joe, do you know how the business works? Do you know that people will do shows? Do you know that, like, Louis C.K. will come into a club and make nothing? Are you aware of that?
No, Louis C.K. won't do the Hyatt Regency.
No, but he'll come.
But listen, I do radio. And
First of all, Louis C.K. will do a Chinese restaurant. He hustles. He goes around to open mics.
Same with Gaffigan. I've seen Gaffigan
Like, I'm serious. Like, I'd be in a shoe store doing an open mic, and Louis would show up.
yeah, and
do a set.
Gaffigan too, right?
I'm
Gaffigan.
employed by WIYY and WBAL.
Right.
I can't leave the area. Dan, you
Right.
know it. And you know I'm employed. Guess you know when the next time I'm going to be on the radio? Tomorrow morning.
Whoop-de-doo.
I
I don't care.
Yeah, when's the next time you're gonna have a steak?
Right, who gives a shit?
You
Right,
can't
who cares?
Joe, you can't go any further in radio because your voice is not a radio voice. It's like this tenor that is not a radio voice, Joe.
That's great.
So,
you know,
in
'cause
your
here's the
head-
difference between me and you.
Yeah.
The real quick. The difference between Dan and I is that what we could do, what I could actually do, is produce the program director from 98 Rock, and he could tell them that Dan doesn't know what he's talking about. I could actually do that.
Well, why
With,
aren't
like,
you
for
a
example,
full-time
with
jock then? Why do you have to have a day job,
with
Joe?
Russell Pierce. Well, I mean, I did have my own show on 98 Rock.
And?
I also sports on.
So
on
you're
98
going
Rock. I'm
downwards.
also the
You're
permanent
going.
fill-in, but there's
See,
only 5
But this is
jobs
just a
that I
giant
have
dick
from
measuring
the-
contest. Like, who cares?
Right,
Like,
I'm with you. I'm sorry, Patrick. You're right. I don't care. I don't.
Joe, Patrick, he started this by putting up this podcast full of lies about me and spending 10 minutes about my.
yeah, I mean, boo-hoo, Dan. Shit happened. Like, why? Who
Yeah,
cares?
So I
What's
have
the
a right to
problem?
respond. Do I not have a right to respond?
Yeah, but you've responded.
Yeah,
From
I
what
have a
I,
right-
from what I understand,
thousands of
1,000-fold.
No, not 1,000-fold.
Dan,
But
I have
okay,
200
he's never
emails
going to
from
like
you.
you.
You've
Joe
responded.
Robinson's never going to like you. He's never going to like you.
No, you're
You
a
gotta
bad
get over
guy.
it.
I'm not.
You got to move on from that. Because,
fine, I
because
don't
it's
care.
hurting your
You
life.
want
It's
me to be
hurting
your
you.
friend?
I don't care if he
What
doesn't
is
like
it you
me.
want from me?
You do care if he likes you. You're lying. That's a
What
lie.
do you want from me, Dan?
No. I don't.
Because you wouldn't spend so much time going, you called me this, you said that. Like, that's very, like,
Patrick,
you do care.
I have. I mean, I don't need him to like me. No, I do not.
You do.
See, it looks that way,
You
though.
do.
When you spend
It
so
does.
much
It looks that way
time.
a lot.
Joe, I got this. You got to calm down. So JL started on a message board.
No.
where you were-
Okay, so Josh Homer, all right?
Okay.
All right, Josh Homer. Now, by the way, go to joshhomer.com, click on tour.
No slamming. This is
April
that's
2013.
irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
It's highly relevant. April
It's
2013 is
not.
his last show.
It's just, it doesn't matter. If he had a rocked out like, here's the thing. There are famous comedians who make your calendar look laughable.
Of course, fine.
Who have talking the same shit about you.
Famous comedians?
Yeah. No?
Well-
so this is something you hammer all the time, that you have opened for Robert Schimmel, you've opened for Russell Peters, that you toured with these guys. Like, it just feels like what you care about is how people see you as being important and succeeding instead of just succeeding. Like, do you know what I mean?
No. I'll tell you what the deal is. When someone rips on me, right, like a JL or a Joe or a Rob or a Nick Mullen, who does not do comedy for a living, who not only doesn't do it for, who just judges these like little tiny rooms.
Okay,
that are
but on the
booked
same
open mics.
no, in the same fold, then Obama, Tim Conway, Hillary Clinton, they don't do comedy, so their opinion doesn't matter either, and they praise you. I mean, it's got to go both ways.
No,
Joe Robinson does a lot more comedy than Obama.
Yeah, but I mean,
Obama does one show a year.
You're
White
saying
House
that,
press.
You're saying that I want testimonials from Joe Robinson, a guy who does a
didn't-
basement.
I'm
Yeah,
not
but-
doing it.
no, but he
I'm
gets
not
to
doing
come.
the testimonial.
But he gets to do it. But he gets to. Anybody can go on and just give a critique on somebody. You've given your critique on all these guys. It's okay for you.
Dan,
It's
don't
okay
like
for
my
you to
comedy,
think
right?
Joe
Or you don't
sucks.
like me?
But you don't understand, Patrick. The difference is it's not like I just found some random person
I
and started
agree.
saying
I
he's a
agree. No.
horrible comic.
Right, I agree.
He
Joe
posted the podcast.
lobbed the first Molotov
Right.
cocktail.
So it's okay for him to do that, but for me not to respond?
no, it's okay for both. You're responding.
Right. So I'm like some sort of nutcase because I responded to a guy who posted a bunch of lies about me.
I don't
want to
get into why you're a nutcase, but the point is,
Yeah, there's a lot to that.
No,
we
no.
don't have enough time.
So in your world, in the Dan Nainan snow globe, it's they hate us because they ain't us, right? I mean, it's that kind of mentality. It's like they're whining because they ain't Nainan, right? Like
No, not at
they
all.
want, but the emails you send, and you send like an email or two a day to Joe and JL and all these guys. But in that,
It's not that
they
much.
all
but
seem to
I have
be,
emailed
well,
them.
lately
Yes.
they've
I have
ramped up,
emailed
correct?
them. I have emailed them. Yes, that is true.
But and sometimes multiple times a day.
Well, you have that's
But they-
true. Great.
But they
Thanks for
ramp up.
admitting that.
They seem to all point to you guys wish you could be doing what I'm doing, right? That's the tone.
Well, I mean, it's like, if you're so funny, the point is, if you're so funny,
But we just went over
why-
how funny doesn't matter, and it doesn't. It's not like
it doesn't
there
matter.
are horrible comics who are amazing marketers. Dane Cook, whether you want to argue whether he's funny or not, he latched onto the MySpace machine, and that's how he catapulted himself to the level he got to.
So you're saying he's not funny then?
No, I didn't. Nothing about his comedy came out of my mouth. But his success,
But if you didn't think he was funny, who
his
cares?
success is solely attributed to his marketing ability. Correct? You can't argue with that.
I don't know. I mean,
Well, he was on MySpace, and that's how he became big.
I can't pretend to be I'm not a self-appointed arbiter of taste like these guys who are like, well, you should do this.
You seem like it when you're emailing out, here's all the fine things in life I'm doing, and none of you're just poor with no gigs. You are making yourself an arbiter of taste. That's what you're doing.
No, they're saying that I shouldn't be doing this kind of comedy. I'm like, hey, do whatever comedy you want. I don't want to do dirty comedy myself, but hey, I toured with
no,
two
but
dirty.
Dan, that's not accurate. God. You are saying that their comedy sucks and that they're hacky. And
I'm not. Who?
You're saying
and I don't care what kind of comedy.
Not only that, but lifestyle choices. Don't drink. Don't do drugs.
No, I'm saying I don't want to do those things.
Comedians are losers if they do.
I don't want to do those things.
But you have said if you drink alcohol and you do drugs, that's why you're a loser and you don't get booked because you're too busy getting high. You said it today to me with kind of like it was unfair. Like. I haven't smoked weed. I do smoke weed, but I haven't.
To Mark Maron.
Because you said that you
told Mark Maron, who's been sober for over 20 years, that he could afford cocaine with money.
Yeah, this is another thing. This Mark Maron thing. It's like, well, hey, did he ever say my name?
No, but you have your email style is a fingerprint.
Yeah. The thing is, all these people say like all this anonymous stuff. Like Rob and Joe said, well, I anonymously emailed some girl who beat me at a competition. I was never beaten by a girl. I was beaten by
Dan.
Well, I have an email here from Erin, this is an email that allegedly you sent to her. Erin Conroy. She was a comedian. She was in a contest with you. Is that correct?
No, she was not.
She was not in a contest.
She was never in a contest with me.
You've never met her?
No. In fact, it was all men. And we did. It was me, Joe Dealey, and then Dave George beat me.
But this email is, from the punctuation to the styling, like when you do an ellipsis and you put a space after it, like there are things just like handwriting that you can go. Like when I type, I put hyphens in a lot. I hyphenate sentences to make to separate 2 points when it probably maybe should be a semicolon or something like that. But you can look at that and go like, that's Patrick. This matches stylistically, verbally. There's no profanity in it. It uses the same kind of words you use. Loser.
Criticizes her drinking.
Nobody
criticizes drinking. Like nobody does that to a comic. But no comic slamming another comic goes like, "Why don't you just go drink again after the show?" Like nobody's doing that.
How do you know Joe's not doing that?
Yeah, he could. Good point, Joe. Stop emailing.
It's probably me.
The thing is, I was never beaten by any woman. I was never beaten by a girl at a contest.
I believe you, Dan. I believe you.
I was beaten by Dave George in the final. Dave George.
I believe you, Dan. But I also think you probably sent this unsolicited to her, being critical of her for some other reason.
So let's everybody pause for a second. Let's listen to Mark Maron, and you're saying you didn't write this email, but let's listen to this clip so the listeners will know at least what we're talking about.
Something else I want to bring up. I've been doing this show a while. People enjoy the show. People like to be on this show. People I like to have on the show are on the show. That's the way it works with me. Or people who are interesting to me, or something exciting. That's who I put on the show. Now, I do get requests to be on the show. Some comics, they email me, and they politely say, I don't know if you know me, take a look at my stuff. I'd like to be on the show, and I talk to them. And I'm very excited that people want to be on the show, and I'm excited that people like to listen to the show. But I got a series of emails the other day that just blew my fucking mind. Blew my mind. In the sense that, look, I know comics. I've been doing this a long time. In one form or another, I've been around and in this business for a long time now. And there's a lot of guys I know. There's a lot of guys I know who know guys. You know how it is. It's a community. We've established that from you listening to the show. I get a series of emails out of the blue from a guy I don't know, nor have I ever heard of, and I'm not going to mention his name.
Yeah,
for a couple of reasons.
Yeah, but Dan, wait till you hear the email.
All right.
Here's the point. I don't know what you get by not owning this. Why not just go like, yeah? Because, it's the same thing with your age. It's just like
why didn't he name whoever it was?
He doesn't want to give you.
He was a fucking dick.
Hold on.
I couldn't quite believe his angle. But I get these series of emails. Here's the first one. Subject line: prick, fuck, alt comics who don't earn any money doing comedy who give advice.
This is right up your alley of a subject line.
Correct.
Correct.
Someone.
That's something like you would write, though, right?
Someone is obviously trying to impersonate me.
Okay.
I'd like to be on your podcast. Subject, how I stopped listening to bitter, jaded, angry, dysfunctional, prick fuck alt village comics who tell me
Well, that
not
has
to do my
profanity in it.
style of comedy
That has
and now
profanity in it.
earn over $250,000 a year without ever having a drink, drug, cigarette, or prescription drug, and without a single credit, in quotes, meaning a TV credit, without a
That
manager
is
or
profanity.
agent, and without being passed at a single
Yeah,
club.
but you said you use profanity. Earlier in the show, you said you will use
No, but you said the
profanity.
other email has no profanity, so that's obviously from me. You can't have it both ways.
No,
right?
I agree, but you said sometimes I do use profanity. You said that earlier, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I swear in conversation,
Right.
sure.
The city. So this guy's basically saying, put me on your show. I've done nothing that normal comics do to pay their dues and find their own voice, and I have somehow figured out a way to make $250,000 a year and having nobody heard of me. Congratulations. Then I get another email because I didn't respond to that one. P.S. One of my YouTube videos is about to hit 900,000 views. Wow.
I mean,
Someone else is sending that pretending to be me.
okay.
But the
Man.
thing
There
is,
are
why
cats
didn't he
that have
just
more
name
views
me?
than
Why
that.
didn't he name me?
Then this.
What do you mean?
This is the one that got me, by the way. We'll pay you $1,000 cash if you put me on your podcast. And I'm dead serious. I did not respond to these things because I went and looked
You
at
make a lot of challenges and bets in your emails,
Right?
right?
Well, it's clearly Dan.
You wanted to take somebody out and fight them in international waters to the death? Is that what you said?
Did say that.
To Rob or to,
I did say
to
it to
Joe?
Joe,
or,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
okay.
his stuff. There was a lot of him opening for other people, a lot of celebrities bringing him on. He's got a lot of footage of corporate gigs that he does
I mean, Dan,
with people
Dan,
bringing him
come
on
on,
corporate
this
gigs.
is your bio.
That
Did not
that
respond
is
to that.
that's somebody impersonating me.
P.S. $1,000 should buy lots of Coke. The audacity, entitlement of this fucking guy just drove me nuts. So I wrote,
Yeah.
not going to say his name. I appreciate that you want to be on the show. I will not have you on the show. Your tone is entitled and insulting, and you can't buy your way onto my show. If you listen to me or the podcast, you would know that I don't do drugs and haven't for years. I'm excited to share your emails in this email exchange on the show and talk about how I feel right now. I hope that will get you the attention and validation you were looking for. Thanks, Marin. So after I wrote back to him, he goes, ha ha. But as you yourself would say, they're just words, right? Funny how that's what it took to get a response. Just make sure you spell my name right. How about $5,000? And then he goes on to write, I'll give you a little background. As a working comedian who makes a living doing what I love, earning as much as $15,000 for an hour's work, I'm
I
absolutely
mean, this is exactly you've used
Dan.
that figure in
I
emails
have,
to
yeah,
people.
yeah. That's
sick
true.
and tired
Hold on,
of
Joe.
quote-unquote comedians who tell me that I shouldn't be doing the
Periscoping
material I'm
this?
doing. They tell me I
have
shouldn't
a
be doing
channel.
ethnic comedy, that I
You're
shouldn't be
splitting
doing
my audience?
impressions, that I shouldn't be doing corporate stuff. And what makes
you
this
were just
ironic is that
filming
many
it.
of these
Don't
people have
Periscope.
never earned a single dollar doing
Audio
comedy.
won't be good. Don't
So let me
Periscope,
interject here.
please.
So they're willing to take the risk
It'll
and
look
not
like shit.
making
This is the
money
worst thing.
in order to honor or service their voice. Whereas this gentleman would prefer just to sell out completely and then justify himself and still be angry. What makes these people who are only doing comedy as an unpaid hobby experts on the art of comedy? What gives them the right to tell another artist the type of material he or she shouldn't or shouldn't
This is
be
the exact same thing we started the show with today. I mean, this is what you
Dan, it's you.
It is not me. I mean, then why didn't he name me then if it's me?
He
Well, how
said
about
he
this?
said why he didn't name you. He didn't want to give you the attention.
about
He
this?
has 1 million people listening to his show, which is what you want. Either way, you would have got on the show, or he mentioned your name in the email. You win either
Well, all
way.
right, well, so if you think it's me, then I win, right?
No, because he didn't mention your name. You didn't get the publicity. But why? I mean,
But why are you denying it's you?
why?
Is it
Why
you or
will
is it-
you admit? Like, these are the same type of heinous emails you sent to Joe and Rob, and you'll admit it. You'll be like, yeah, this is exactly what I say to these losers. Yet to Marin, you won't say.
Well, I mean, but you said that I swear I would never swear in an email, right?
I
Dan,
don't-
is it you or not? Did you write it?
No, I
we've,
did
we've all
not.
seen that when you get heated, you just asshole came flooding right out when you got mad a minute ago.
Well,
so
I mean,
it happens.
Joe is an
and you've
asshole.
admitted that when you get into these email wormholes where you're just involved in this, you get very upset and passionate. You've said that. I mean, you get really involved with going back and forth with some of these people, JL and Joe, and right. I mean, you get incensed in it.
Well,
No,
can I say
well,
something? He doesn't really get mad about us going back and forth because I haven't responded to him literally
Right, I know.
since today. About 70 emails.
Yeah.
Think about what a psychopath this guy is.
Okay.
Every day, something like he just sent to Marin, I get every single day with no response. I'm not even
look,
arguing.
hey,
He's in an
all
argument
I'm
with
saying
no
is,
one.
hey, what? Just if it's me, then just say it's
Right.
me.
No,
doing. It's like a heavy metal artist telling another musician that he shouldn't do country music, or Rembrandt telling Monet not to do impressionist paintings. This guy's got a pretty lofty idea of who he is in the world. If this were an occasional problem, I could deal with it, but I'm sick and tired of being hammered day in and day out by these negative loser drug addicts and alcoholics. Last time I checked, this is a free country, and I have the right to do whatever kind of comedy I feel like doing. And I wrote back to him, I know exactly who you are and what you were saying, and congrats on all your success. It is a free country, and I will never put you on my podcast. You arrogant, entitled, miserable person.
So
If you are a comic, I'm glad that you're doing so well with it. It's sad that you're so angry and that you have no credits and nobody knows who you are.
So if I reached out to Mark Maron, who's been on this show several times, and I have a phone number and email, not fake in my phone. You pretended you had a 15-minute phone call with Obama. You sent a screenshot of your call log that said Obama.
It was
Obama.
not him. No, it was.
Of course it wasn't.
No, we were talking about doing the event. That wasn't. It's not like the president calls me.
But you sent a call log. You sent a screenshot of your call log that said Barack Obama.
Right.
15-minute call.
Those were the people that I was talking to. No, of course the president's not.
You sent a call log and you were like, I'm on the phone right now with NBC Studios pitching a yada yada, and it was the general number to the NBC Studios that you could look up on their webpage.
I don't even remember that. So
This is a couple weeks ago.
Can I interject something real quick?
Yeah.
How about this? If you can reach out to Mark Maron, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal, Dan. If that's not you, I'll quit. I'll quit comedy. And if it is you, you quit.
all right. Well,
How
do we do that?
I'll shoot Mark.
I will put it in writing. If you didn't write that, and Mark Maron said that's not Dan Nainan, I'll quit.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
But if he says it is, you're done.
I'll shoot Mark Maron an email after the show,
Okay,
and we'll find out.
sounds good.
Mark Maron has an AOL.com email address, by the way, everybody. It's insane. It's insane. A lot of, Greg Giraldo had an AOL.com email address, but I think, that's the new, celebrities under the wire thing. Because, no, they would never use AOL. But that's real, just so everybody knows. But you will adamantly say he's not talking about you, and that somebody purposefully. You would agree, though, that would have to be someone purposefully trying to act like you, because that's your MO all day, right?
Yeah, I've had people impersonate me before online, so with emails and stuff on boards.
When did that happen?
It was someone who was saying something about Josh Homer, and then it was not me, but they used my name. People do this all the time.
We have another caller. Hello.
Joe, you sound like a real jealous asshole, and Dan, you look great for 74.
I can't argue with that. If you're 74, you look great. See, you already got new fans. So, Joe,
That's it?
yeah, we're done. I don't know where to go next.
Let's talk about the Russell Peters thing.
Okay,
Is that not him in that as well? That's not him.
When
either?
did you start working with Russell Peters?
2000 and what happened was let's see, it would have been 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you guys meet? And how did that come about?
Okay, so I went one night. I heard he was at the Improv. It was called the Improv.
Russell Peters probably dollar for dollar. I don't know. It's probably between him and stupid Dunham, the puppet guy. But those guys make bank.
Right.
Those guys
30 million
may not be
30 million a year.
May not be super well known. Russell Peters in the U.S. I mean, he's pretty well known if you're into comedy. But internationally, let me just tell you, these guys are cleaning up.
Yep.
No Russell Peters. In my joke email the other night, I sent you a photo of a party that he had. But But you start working with him in 2005. How did that come about? How did you get the gig? I mean,
okay, so late 2004, I went to the Improv because I'd heard about this huge phenomenon going on, Russell Peters, and I get to the Improv, and unfortunately, I get there too late. Excuse me, he's just finished performing, and the crowd, I literally must have gotten there like 10 seconds after he got off stage.
okay.
Because there was like this amazing, just this something in the air, something amazing had happened, right? And then the producer or whatever comes up, or the club owner comes up, or a manager says, "Hey, these people don't want to leave. Do you have any other Indian comedians?" I said, "I will do it."
Comes up to who? Who was he asking?
To the producer.
Okay.
Yeah. His name was Ash. And
So after Russell Peters does an hour,
or whatever it was, I don't know how long.
or whatever.
'cause
I mean, nobody
missed
does an
it.
hour at the Hollywood Improv, but whatever. 30 minutes,
No,
40
this,
minutes, whatever.
This is the New York Improv. This is New
Okay.
York Improv, yeah.
After that, they want to put just another comic up, and they want to put another Indian comic up.
They said, "Hey, are there any other Indian comics?" I happen to be standing right there.
Yeah.
Right. And then I said, "I will do it." Right. And then they put me up.
And how long had you? So you were 2 years in, 3 years in?
Yeah, 3 years in.
Okay.
So then they, I did like 10, 15 minutes. I didn't think I did that well.
Did they know you? They just were like, "Sure, go ahead. You're an Indian comic."
Well,
Here's the improv.
yeah, maybe Osh did. No. The Improv didn't know me. No. And so then, Russell saw this, and I didn't think I had done that well. But then again, come on, I'm following Russell Peters, right? I'm following Russell Peters. And
But how did even the logistics of that work? So not to be, everybody's devil's advocate here, but on both sides. But Russell finishes, the MC goes back up. Meanwhile, the manager's over off to the side going, "Do you have any more Indian comics?" How does the MC get word that you're even going up? The MC thinks the show's over. He closed it out.
Did the check drop? Like, how did this happen?
Like, logistically, how do you get brought up onto stage? The MC doesn't know you or that you're there. And it's usually going up like, "Give it up for Russell Peters. Give it up for all the comics you've seen tonight. Thank you guys. Good night." It would have been over.
No. When I got there was literally like there was no one on stage, and the crowd was just kind of sitting there, right? So I guess the MC must have gotten off and said, "Hey, that's Russell Peters, and
Okay.
thank you." But no, by the time
The show was over and they restarted it, kind of?
the show was over. I get there, there's no one on stage at all, right? But the crowd is just, there's this energy. Something has happened in this room,
Right.
And then so I said, "Hey, and the guy comes over and says, 'Hey, this crowd doesn't want to leave yet. Do we have any other Indian comics?' And I said, 'I will do it.' And it was like the most amazing, fortuitous thing, because I go up, I do 10, 15 minutes. I don't think I did well, but again, I followed Russell Peters, right?
Sure.
And then Russell goes, 'Hey, you're pretty funny,' right?
So Russell
Upstairs.
was in the room or around and saw it.
Yes.
Can I ask a quick question back? How does the club make money? Why do they want you on stage?
Yeah, because checks had been closed out.
Yeah, the checks.
Yeah, the check's already been closed out. Why do they want the crowd to stay? Wouldn't they want them to leave? There's no more money to be made.
I don't know.
But anyway, Russell gives you his contact info and says,
Yeah.
"Come do some gigs with me."
No. And then this was in late 2004, and then I heard from a friend that Russell was going to be coming to the States.
Okay.
Right. And then so I called him and I said, "Hey, do you mind if I do some shows with you?" Right. And he goes, "Yeah, I'll tell him." I said, "Do you mind if I do like one or two of the shows or whatever? Could I open for you?" He goes, "I'll tell my manager to put you on every show." And I said, "Oh, wow, thank you so much." And he goes, "One hand washes the other." And I didn't even know what he meant by that. But next thing you know, I am with him at the Gaston Hall at Georgetown
Can you
University.
get him another water, should we?
Yeah, thanks. We have two shows, 750 people each, right?
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Now the first show, I'm terribly nervous. I have no clue. Thank you. I've never been in front of that many people before. All right. The next show, I'm a little bit more comfortable. I asked one of the stagehands, "Is there any suggestion you have?" He goes, "Well, you should talk a little slower." All right. I talk slower. Then we get on the train and we go to up to the Irvine Auditorium in Philadelphia, right, where they have another show. By the way, I have all of this on tape.
Sure.
Yeah. 1,400 people. And then we did like show after.
No doubt there's a video of Russell Peters going, "Give it up for my good friend Dan Nainan."
No.
And brings you up on stage.
You haven't heard the whole thing.
Okay, go ahead.
The whole clip, and we can get that up here.
Hold on. There's another caller. Hello, real quick.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, it's Mike from Scotland.
Hey, Mike.
Hi, Dan. I actually took up comedy when I saw Patrick about 4 years ago, like watching his podcast, and I'm actually performing in Edinburgh Fringe now this year. So, are you performing in the Edinburgh Fringe this year?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've done Scotland. I've performed in Glasgow before, though.
Oh, you performed in Glasgow. Well, Glasgow is not really. It's not really comedy.
All right,
to be honest.
Mike. What's your point?
Yeah.
You sound like Joe. You're just running out of steam.
Yeah.
I wish Joe would run out of steam.
I'm trying.
I'm kidding.
trying
So,
to wait my turn.
are you come to Edinburgh Fringe Festival at all, Dan? Or
No, we just said that.
no? Oh, that's such a shame. Oh well.
But hey,
Is that it?
Thank you for calling. No, I did Glasgow. I did a hotel downtown. It was a big tour. We did Glasgow. We did some shows. That was the only Scotland show I've ever done. But
So go back to your Russell Peters story. Sorry,
Okay.
Mike.
So
We get it.
So now if you play the full Russell clip, what you'll hear him say is, "So I've done comedy for X number of years, and when I go out on the road, there's a guy I like to bring out a lot. He's a very funny guy. He just performed for Hillary
Clinton, yeah.
Right. And that's I can find you the link to that.
I understand that, but will you admit that so Russell Peters on stage saying, I bring this guy around when I tour. He just opened for Hillary Clinton. He's a good friend of mine. Give it up for Dan Nainan. That's the same as the Wall Street Journal going, Dan Nainan, comedian, 33, yada, yada, yada. They're just saying what you told them. It's not like Russell saw you perform for Hillary and that's proof and verify. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
Every comic that brings every comic up, I just did a show last night with a guy I'd never met before. They always do that. Give it up for one of my good friends, guys. You're going to love him. He's hilarious.
Clubs and colleges all up and down.
Yeah,
the
he's
East
been
Coast.
on Comedy Central, HBO. You know how.
So, I
you
mean,
know how
what-
MCs do.
what
I mean,
are you saying? I mean that I
I'm
didn't
just
tour
saying
with
that.
him, or?
No, I'm saying you toured with him. No, Russell's saying you didn't. Russell says that you would show up and beg to do guest sets, and that's not true.
No, not at all.
Then what is it? I mean, how does it feel to hear Russell say that?
Did he say that about me?
Yeah. So this is Russell Peters on. Well, you're going to say that it's not you because he doesn't mention your name, right? I mean, you've heard this clip, right? The Rogan.
No.
Okay, so this is the Russell Peters on Joe Rogan's podcast.
So if you're not smart enough and ready, if you don't Google,
Somebody did that to my
register Google
website.
with
They
two L's.
made
Really?
myrussellpeters.com. They put
Now, did you do that? Did you buy russellpeters.com with one L? russellpeters.com? That's something you've been accused of too, right?
Well, let's hear the clip.
Okay.
russellpeters.com.
Oh, wait a minute.
No.
Yeah.
And then they completely cut and pasted all my shit from my website to that one.
Were they doing anything?
It was this fucking douchebag guy. I don't want to even say his name because I don't want to give him any credit. But he thinks he's a comic, and he's.
I mean, this is how you get out of stuff, right? By going, you didn't say my name. It's not me.
Well, this is the thing, real quick, Patrick, and I wish he would have admitted to it, but he wanted to hear the rest of the clip to see how much guilt he would be associated with him. He clearly did this. You know what I mean? But
Well,
again, he does this ambiguous thing where he somehow weasels his way out of it.
Well, if they don't say the name, it's hard to definitively go. I mean, you can't go prove it. I mean,
Well,
you
could
can, right?
ask Russell Peters.
Well, let's finish.
It's the fucking douche.
So he did that
He
just
did
to
that.
fuck with you?
Yeah, because you would go to contact info, and he had his number there.
What?
So he would scoop.
Listen, I can't get Russell Peters, but listen,
Yes.
Tommy Shenanigans is ready.
Yeah,
He's
basically.
here. He's got his notebook in his hand. He's been writing new material. Tommy Shenanigans
their
is
audio's
you
all
can
over
get
the
him at a
place.
discounted rate. Think
I'm a
about what you were going to
comic.
pay Russell Peters.
Just to laugh.
Divide that by 1,000, and Tommy Shenanigans is ready to party.
Tommy Shenanigans.
I love that name. Always
Photo.
available.
Russell Peters with 1L.com.
Come join us next week. Funny man Tommy Shenanigans will be here.
His whole act is about you. I mean, he's okay. Russell.
So you never did that.
No.
You never bought Russell with 1lpeters.com, duplicated his website completely, and then put your phone number there.
I did not do that.
Okay.
No. And the thing is, I mean, so you're saying then that this whole thing about, meeting him and, I mean, are you saying that's all made up?
No.
Or?
I'm taking here's all I'm doing. I'm trying to be an impartial newcomer to this whole situation. Take everything Rob, Joe, JL, and Nick and all these people have said, and give you a venue to clear it all. Because them saying all this shit has you pretty mad. You spend a lot of time fighting these guys, and if they're full of shit, let's get it out there. Okay. If this isn't true, let's fucking clear it up.
Go to youtube.com.
No, how do you spell that?
And then go to Nainan and then video resume.
Yeah.
Okay. Search for Nainan, Nainan, and video resume.
I know who you are. I got it.
All right. And then now what you'll see there is you'll see me getting like these amazing, like I just say, my name is Dan Nainan, thank you very much. And then you hear these people screaming, and yelling in these huge venues like theaters. Do you think that they're there to see me? In these like huge theaters of 2,000 people, those are all opening for Russell. Okay.
Right.
Now at the end of that, you'll also see Robert Schimmel talking about me at the Comedy Connection in Boston. Right.
Okay. Well, let's finish Russell first, and then we'll go to Robert.
Okay.
Let me finish this clip.
Russell Peters is kind of funny, but come on, he's got a head start. Everybody loves Indian comedians.
Yeah. You like Indian, it's the same thing. No, you're the frozen food.
That guy sounds crazy, creepy stalker guy.
Oh, he's a complete sociopath.
So are there other Indian comedians that opened for Russell Peters?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's scary, the thing that he would spend so much of his energy to put something like that together.
One time he did this thing where he said to some people that were booking him, he didn't think it would ever get back to me, but he fucked himself because they tried to call Angelo, one of my good friends, to do the same show with him. And they said, well, yeah, he's coming and Angelo's coming. And Angelo goes, oh, okay. And they go, Russell's going to be a surprise guest on the show. And he goes, what? No, he's not. He's going to be in fucking wherever the fuck I was going to be that weekend. And they go, who said that? Oh, the guy that we booked said, we pay him $2,000 and I'll bring Russell Peters if you give me $3,000. So they gave him $3,000 and they said, but if you tell anybody that he's coming, then you have to pay me $3,000 and that he's not going to come. So they obviously knew it. And so it came back to me, and I was like, really? And they ended up firing him and canceling the gig. And but he was like doing this kind of weird fucking sneaky snake shit. Like
saying that he was going to get you to do guest sets, so was he calling you and, hey, Russell, you
No, we're not friends at all.
You're not friends at all?
No, he's using you as a selling point.
He was using my name like, yeah, no, because he opened for me before.
You meet so many weird fucking people in this business, man.
And he's not even a guy who wants to go work the road. He's like one of these douchebags who just decided he was going to do comedy.
Wow.
And he uses jokes off the internet. It's
not work the road.
He's a complete fucking cornball.
But it's amazing that he's so dedicated as far as like stealing your website.
Yeah, well, we got that ceased and desisted.
Did you have to do that? You had to bring
I had
lawyers
to bring the lawyers in.
I wonder who it is.
Now you have a relationship with this guy, though.
He opened for me like 3 times or something, and it wasn't like I asked him to open for me. He would like sort of stalk me and be like, hey, I see you're going to be in Indiana this Friday. I'm going to be in town there on Thursday night doing a corporate. Do you mind if I do a set on the Friday? You don't have to pay me or anything.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
That worked like 3 times, and I was like, wait a minute.
Russell,
the fuck are you always where I'm going to be the day before?
Russell, can I get a lock of your hair?
I always find that, can I do a guest set thing?
He started stalking Mark Maron.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What did he do?
He wanted to be on Mark's podcast or something, or open for Mark or something, and Mark was like, no. And this guy went all fucking weird like this on him, too. He's a fucking sociopath.
Did he get Mark Maron with 2Ns.com?
Probably. 2 Rs.
Yeah.
So Russell's talking first. Now, Mark Maron got an email, which could easily be spoofed from you. Russell's talking firsthand. He knows who he's talking about, whether it's you or not. He knows who he's talking about. And he's confirming that person is the same person who fucked with Mark Maron, assuming they've talked about it.
He's not talking about me. He's not talking about me.
So there's.
I don't want to work the road. I mean, geez.
So yeah, but the road. The road. Hold on. The road isn't what you're doing. What you're doing isn't the road. I mean, when comedians say the road,
24 countries.
Well, yeah, that's not the road.
I mean, you're
that's
not a
touring.
road
You're touring. You're touring, and you're a corporate comedian. But the road is, I'm at the fucking St. Louis Funny Bone this week. You know what I mean? Like the road is, I'm every week at a club making $600. That's the road. The road is not. Did you ever do that? Did you ever in that medium step? I feel like you.
Yeah, with Robert Schimmel.
To clubs.
Yeah, we
for
did
600, 700.
It was 100 a night. It was 100 a show.
Yeah,
and we would do either 6 or 7 on a weekend.
So you did that for a while. You were making that little money
with Robert,
Okay.
and then I had to fly myself there.
Yeah, of course.
And sometimes they'd have a condo, sometimes they'd have a hotel, sometimes there was nothing.
Right.
So I mean, it's not like I said I did that for 10 years, and
No.
Well,
Well, how long did you tour with Russell?
About a year and a half.
So 2005 to 2007.
6, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why are there articles, and we can put the links up, but they've been detailed, of you in 2008 and 2012 saying you tour with Russell Peters?
I mean,
how does that timeline fix? And also, you said on your blog that you produced Russell Peters' 2005 special.
No. I produced his show at the Apollo.
But it's a well-known thing. His Apollo. Now, why would Russell Peters get his opening act to produce his show? Because you even said, I sold the tickets, I kept the money. Why would Russell Peters need you to sell tickets for him?
All right. I'll find you.
Yeah.
The spreadsheets that have all of the.
He's saying why, man? Why?
But why would Russell Peters?
Why would he do that?
Right, months after he met you, go, hey, can you put together something at the Apollo for me and sell some tickets?
Okay, now do you see this here where it says Russell Apollo NYC?
Yep.
2.xls?
Yep.
Okay, now.
And you keep that on your desktop?
No, I just searched for it. All right. This is tickets sold.
Yeah.
And
why did he do it?
Why?
Dan?
Yeah, why?
would he do that?
Okay, you have the proof, but why would Russell Peters go, hey, I'm exploding in a well-known guy? Like you said, like all these people are cheering for him. Why would he come to you and go, can you put this together, produce it, sell the tickets? And you said, I sold the tickets and made a profit. I kept,
I produced him at the Apollo. I produced him at the Laugh Factory in L.A.
Why?
To make money.
Did he need you to do it?
Well, this was long before he was. I mean, and then I produced him at the Royce Hall in UCLA.
Okay,
right? And then that
produce means you procured the venue, the ticketing,
right?
Okay,
and then it was at Royce Hall, by the way, where creative artists came and saw him for the first time.
I mean, this is like the stuff that Joe. I'm asking him point blank if he did these things, and unequivocally he's answering that he did. And it would be insane to sit here and go, I produced Russell Peters' Apollo special.
By the way, I'm not even saying that he didn't produce his special, right? But I do, listen to the language. You say, why? He goes, well, here's a spreadsheet. Well, we're just saying, well, how does something like this occur? Dana has 2 stories about going
it doesn't matter, Joe, because you're not going to believe me,
Well, that's true. You're right. Obviously, I'm trying to expose him, but you're not interested in hearing what this angle is as to why this well-known
the bottom line.
Why did you stop working with Russell?
The bottom line is this, Joe. Is I did many shows with Russell. I did not show up, and I mean, how? Let me ask you a question. How does someone who is performing in a huge venue, say, well, this guy just showed up, can he perform? I mean, how does he just not say, get security and get this guy out of here?
I have no idea. The same reason that you can't explain why he would have you produce his show.
Well, what's being alleged is a lot of social engineering.
Right.
There's this principle in life.
I don't have to do.
There's principle in life that, seriously, if you act as if you walk with enough authority towards a guard at a door and pretend like you're supposed to go in that door, 98% of the time, no one's going to when you do when you call a venue and go, I'm Russell Peters' opener, I need to find out how I'm getting booked on this, how am I getting paid, I need to, don't bother Russell with this, I'm his opener, I need to get this all settled for him.
Or Robert, right?
It's very easy, but you know what I'm saying, like somebody with enough confidence and skill could manipulate a venue or the club doesn't care who opens for Robert Schimmel. They just need it taken care of.
Well, see, that's another thing. That we talked about this and we stole your thunder on Monday, whatever it was. Here's the thing, and I want to have a chance to explain this without being cut off by Joe.
Please. Joe,
right?
why don't you eat a panini or something?
What happened was I started comedy, like I did some stuff in the DC scene. A guy named, I think, Ryan or something told me, hey, you should get in on this open mic competition at the DC Improv. All right,
Ryan Connor.
He made No, it was someone else. Not a comic, a producer. And he made. I performed at like I think a place on Columbia Road, and it was a competition, and I won. I didn't win. I'm sorry. Wait, who won? I can't remember. Wait.
Aaron Conroy.
No. It was. Anyway, I can't remember. But anyway, so this guy referred me to the open mic competition at the DC Improv, okay? And so he got me on like sort of last minute. I won the competition at the DC Improv, right? And then they said, you have the option to choose whatever headliner you want to be the MC for.
You get a hosting week. You want a hosting
week. Weekend, right?
Very common for an open mic contest prize. $50 in a week hosting or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
And then I also got the opportunity to do the final. Okay, and the final. Okay, it's very, very interesting because it was April, I think 15th, 2002 or 2003, and everyone had, all the comics had like dozens of people there to support them, right? I had one person in the audience who was a first date. Okay, and I won. I beat everybody fair and square. And I still have the piece of paper that shows like what the final order was.
Weird.
Now, this was April. I keep everything.
Yeah, clearly.
And then and boarding passes. And then Schimmel wasn't until November.
Keep everything but your story straight, right, Dan?
Right. So November rolls around. Schimmel is the headliner. I go and perform with him, right? And then I said to my friend who's a comic the night before, my objective here is to be Robert Schimmel's, to tour with him. And my friend says, you're crazy.
Right.
Okay. So I start talking to Robert. I'm trying to ingratiate myself with him. Right. And then then I talked to his feature, John Uberoth, who's from Cincinnati. I said, John, are you going to Honolulu, right, with Robert? And he says, no, I can't. I can't afford the ticket. Right. So then I asked him, hey, do you mind if I ask Robert if I can do the show? All right. And so he goes, well, Dan, if it's all right with the producer, it's fine with me. So I called, and I talked to a guy named Paulo Gata, all right, who was a comic who used to be on radio in Honolulu, right? Very nice guy. And he had me on and on his radio show, and he said, I'll find out if I can get you on. He called me back and goes, we can get you on, all right? It's at the Pipeline Cafe. So now I had told a fib here. I had said, I'm going to be down there anyway, right? Which was not true. I flew down there. I met Robert. I met Melissa, his wife.
But that's something, that kind of a lie, that's the shit we all do to get gigs.
Exactly.
It's same as like fluffing your resume to get a job. Yeah. Like, and that's why I don't doubt that you called Russell Peters and said, like, I'm going to be doing a gig in Indianapolis the night before, a corporate gig. Do you mind if I come? That's how you get in front of these people to do.
Yeah, but 20, 30 shows with Russell? You think I did 20 or 30 shows by saying I'm going to be...
I'm saying maybe you got your foot in the door that way. That's the same way with Schimmel. I mean, this is how you do it. I mean, you have to do something to set yourself apart. If you didn't do it, nobody was going to do it, and they were going to just get a local opener in Hawaii.
Right, or nobody.
Right. So I'm not slamming you for doing that. That's what, if you had to buy your own ticket to Hawaii and lose money on the gig, it was worth it was an investment in your career to maybe get a foot in the door to do future gigs with them. Exactly. So I'm not slamming you for that.
So we're at the Pipeline Cafe. Greg Azus, AZUS, is the producer. There's a local DJ who introduces me. I go up and do my thing, and then Robert, like, that was great, and because he, Paul went up after me, and so in the intervening time, he's like, that was great, and then the next day the DJ goes up and he does like 10 minutes of comedy. He's like, Robert's like, what's this guy doing, because he was like, bombing, and I guess he thought he was a comedian for the night. Then he introduces me, and I kill again. Right, Robert loved it. We go out to eat, and then he starts ripping on John Uberoth and saying, "Hey, man, this guy, yeah, man, like the clubs would get really angry because they'd be running out of Guinness when this guy Uberoth was there drinking everything in sight." And he's like ripping on him and ripping on him, ripping on him, and then and
this was his opener.
The one
back in the States that you met.
Okay, States, right? And then next thing you know, I go home. I get an email from Melissa saying Robert would like you to be his feature and tour with him. Okay, I said, great. What do I do? She goes, what you should do is you should call each club and tell them that you're Robert's feature and that you need to be on the show. And I was kind of hoping that someone would
Who told you to do that?
Melissa, Robert's wife.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was kind of hoping that someone would do that for me, but I had to take it upon myself. So I called the Irvine Improv. I called Wendy at the...
This is when you upset Dave Stroop.
Yeah, and all I was doing was doing what Melissa had told me to do.
Dave doesn't like anyone to call him. You got to email. He's that kind of guy.
All right. Well, anyway, so then I called Dan Murrah at the Tempe Improv. I spoke to. I did what I was told. I called every club.
And you would just call and go, I'm the guy Robert Schimmel wants to open for him. How do we set this up?
I'm the feature, right? Exactly, right. And then
did they have features already sometimes, and they canceled those guys, or what?
That I don't know. I have no way of knowing that. So then we go to the Irvine Improv, and like I said, okay. And then Robert says, I want you to meet my manager, Lee Kernis at Brillstein Gray. Okay, so we go to Beverly Hills, this beautiful building, and then I meet Lee. Robert introduces me, and he's really nice, and then he also wanted to introduce me to the people at Gersh. Now, I emailed and called. I tried to get hold of the people at Gersh. I said, Robert referred me. I could never get any response from them, right? And I thought that was kind of weird, but whatever. So then we go down to the Irvine Improv. And by the way, you can see that on the Dan Nainan resume, the video resume. You can see us at the Irvine Improv. I'm introducing Robert. They said, please, for this show, we're going to move Sean Rouse to feature. Okay, Sean Rouse is going to feature. You're going to host because Sean Rouse is with Brillstein Gray, right? Now Sean Rouse goes up and he talks about when you rape a woman, you should use a towel so you don't leave any marks, And Robert leans over him and goes, "Man, this guy's funny, but he's getting laughs. But what are they going to do with this? How are they going to put a sitcom around this guy, right?
Yeah,
right. And so then every show after that, every city, I pay for my way out there. The hotel is sometimes taken care of, sometimes it isn't. I tour with Robert. We do a whole bunch of shows together, right? And okay, we get to Caroline's. All right, now this is a whole nother story. We get to Caroline's in New York. All right, now Eddie Brill, who is the Letterman,
used to be the Letterman late night booker.
Late night booker still is, by the way.
No, he isn't.
Yeah, he is.
No, he isn't.
Yes, he is.
No, he isn't.
And
Dan, he hasn't been for almost a year and a half, 2 years.
Right, because of the incident, right? Because
there's an incident, yes.
Right.
But he's not currently.
No. What I hear is that he still is, and that was just a PR BS. So Eddie Brill is I had met.
Well,
Eddie,
next week he's not anymore.
Right, of course. So Eddie Brill, that I heard about. So Eddie Brill, is was very friendly to me in the beginning, but then when he heard I was opening for Robert Schimmel, he got very angry about this. Okay, and then we went to. I went to perform with the two of them at Caroline's, and they had paid me, I think, $120 a night, right? Next thing you know, they come and they take money after the show out of my hand. They take $40 and they go, Eddie was supposed to be the host.
Basically, your assertion is Eddie Brill was fuming, mad, and jealous that you were getting paid more and doing so well with Robert and all this stuff.
He was livid.
He's a jealous, couldn't cut it comedian because he's been doing this for 30 years or whatever, and he's just bitter. That's what I mean. That's the reason. What you're saying.
Well, they came and they took money out of my hand.
Okay.
They took money. They said, "No, we overpaid you. You should have gotten the feature money."
Yeah, most of the clubs I work don't even put the money in your hand to start. So you're already ahead of me.
Right. Well, it was yeah. So then. Okay, so then I'm talking to a guy, Brad Trackman. He goes, "Hey man, I don't want to say who it is, but there's someone who's really, really influential in the business in comedy who's saying that you're lying and you're making all this up about touring with Robert."
You said you had a date at 9:00. Is she going to be pissed?
Yeah. Well, don't worry about it.
Can we call her on the show?
No.
Number 71.
Do you have you? One of my listeners has been texting you, and you texted him all these pictures of women.
Well, yeah, he's like, do you ever?
Yeah, but they all look like glamour shots from Sears.
Well,
from the 90s.
I have a lot of photos I can show you, but this is what I wanted to show you before you go on the air. I don't want to publicize anyone. But anyway, let me finish with Eddie Brill. So then I said, "Oh, Brad, really? Okay. Well, I know who it is, and I'm going to play you a voicemail." And it was Robert voicemail saying, "Hey, Dan, it was really great to work with you, really funny. And I wish I had that voicemail."
Is this another impression?
Well, my impression of him is not that good. But, "Hey, Dan, and I can't wait to see you in Tempe." Then we go to Tempe, and then Robert put me on the radio in San Jose and And I have sent that to Rob and Joe, and they somehow ignore it. But if you go to soundcloud.com/comediandan, soundcloud.com/comediandan, you will see a radio clip where Robert and I are on the radio together. Okay, and then the DJ says, "So you're on tour together," and you'll hear Robert go, "Yeah." Play it.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I mean, everyone believes this, Dan. I'm just saying where we don't believe you on the radio, and who doesn't believe this?
This is just an ancillary
By the way,
story.
I also think that you've done an outstanding job marketing yourself until you step over the line, like you did with Russell Peters when you did this thing with his website.
Let me just ask this: hold on, and Joe, where does that come from? That authority that was Dan who did that with the website? Is that just from the Russell's Rogan show?
Well, I would say, is this the biggest coincidence in the world? Somebody who mimics Dan to a T emails Mark Maron's website, and then some Indian comic that he happens to work with and references the Mark Maron. I mean, what is this? I mean, we're not going to act like this is just the most amazing coincidence. It's not clearly Dan. So, and again, like I said, I mean, I know Dan's not going to admit it, but it's him. And what I believe has happened, and by the way, it's okay, is that you had these relationships that you flew to Hawaii to pretend you were going to be there. By the way, good for you. I don't have the money to fly to Hawaii just to pretend I'm going to be there so I can do a feature set with a headliner. I don't. So good. I'm glad you were able to do that. But eventually, that relationship soured. It soured to the point where you emailed his brother after his death and said what a prick he was. So,
I never did that.
Happen. Yeah. So
well, again,
Jeff Schimmel, Robert Schimmel's brother, says, and I've seen it. The text said that you wrote to Robert you wrote to Jeff Schimmel after Robert passed away, and said and not to be I'm sorry that he passed away, but to say what a jerk Robert was while he was alive.
Then why don't you just produce the email then?
What was a text?
I texted him?
No. So
I don't have his number.
Well, this cuts forward to the DC Improv incident. Rob Mayer texted Jeff Schimmel, and Jeff wrote back, "Oh yeah, he contacted me after my brother died, just to tell me what a jerk he was."
Where's the email then?
What's a text? I have the screen.
No,
I've
what
seen
I'm
it.
saying is you're saying.
Oh, the email where you said
that I sent.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt Jeff printed it out.
Well, you can look your old email up.
Sure. But I would never I wouldn't bug him to do that. I don't care about that. Here's the thing. The Schimmel, the Russell Peters, why did all that deteriorate? Why did that go away? Why did you stop working with those guys?
Well, I mean, the thing of it is what we're trying to establish here is, did I tour with these people? And one of the linchpins of Joe's podcast is I lied. I never toured with Robert. I never toured with Russell. I did not.
Okay, I take it back. You did. Now let's move on. You did. Now let's move on.
The linchpin is also Andy Klein saying, Dan lied and forced himself onto a show with Brad Garrett. Now, Brad Garrett, I performed at Brad Garrett's Comedy Club in Vegas.
And I saw those emails on your blog and stuff that you posted.
Yeah, and I said, hey, and what happened was Brad texted me. I assume he texts every comic, right? And he texted me and says, hey, thank you so much for doing the club, et cetera, et cetera. And we started going back and forth. And then I said, hey, I'm thinking about opening a club.
And this was back when it was in the Tropicana.
In the Tropicana.
Yeah.
And then I said, hey, I'm thinking about opening a club. And, he said, well, and then I said, what would you want to have your name on? He goes, he wants $1 million up front. I said, well, that's a little bit too much. And, maybe not. And then we
fake it till you make it, Dan.
And then we can, but I can't fake give him $1 million.
Write a check.
And then, yeah, right. And then, Andy Klein is like, well, you lied about getting on to Schimmel, so you're lying about getting on with
Brad
Garrett. And Brad Garrett, I mean, I had no clue. I mean, I didn't even know he was coming to the to
DC or whatever.
The Arlington, Draft House. And he asked for me, and then Andy Klein calls me, and I have the email.
I saw it.
Yeah, and says, hey, we're thinking about or no, Brad has asked for you. And then, do you see the email where he says, "Well, yeah, you saw all of that," and there's another.
So, but why again? Why did you stop touring with Russell and Schimmel? Like, how did that fall? How did that stop? Why did that stop?
Why did what? Stop?
When did you stop touring with Russell and why?
In 2006, I stopped touring with Russell.
Why?
Because he had other people start opening for him.
But there are articles in 2012 where you say you currently tour with Russell.
I may have said I'm Russell Peters' opener, or I may have said I open for Russell or whatever.
Right, tour. Okay. So you never subverted Russell's notoriety to get gigs for yourself. You never.
I mean, I've certainly said I've toured with Russell.
No. Aside from just using that as a credit, I'm saying you never called around and were manipulating. You never did the website bought another website and changed the phone number on it and all that stuff
to my phone. No,
that guy was saying.
No.
So you put up an audio clip, or someone put up an audio clip that you recorded a phone call from a booker where you kind of badmouth Russell Peters and say you shouldn't hire him, you should hire me. What was that about?
I may have said, Russell does a lot of dirty stuff, and I don't do dirty, and he'll make you sign a statement saying that you can't dictate his language.
But so listen to this, just so everybody knows what we're talking about, and it just seems like, especially if at a time where you were working with this dude, to kind of...
Calling about the Daniel Nainan.
Yes.
Do I have the right number?
Yes, you do.
Hold on, let me get to
Okay, who am I speaking to?
3 minutes in.
We think that there will be about 800 people.
Perfect. So it'll be in a ballroom convention.
This is you, correct?
Yes.
It is like a convention hall, yeah.
Oh, yes.
So this is like we have annual gala. You charge, it should be something that we can afford also.
Did you get a quote from Russell's people?
Russell people, I called them, I never could get hold of him.
Yeah, Nick, do you know now that there's two problems with hiring Russell? The first is that he charges for something like this somewhere between $40,000 and $70,000.
Oh my God!
And the second thing is that he does not do these kind of functions anymore.
Wow!
And the third thing, the thing that makes me different, even though I'm much less expensive.
But if he doesn't do those kind of functions anymore, why would you have to badmouth him to kind of get him off the gig?
I don't think that's bad mouthing. It's the truth.
Well, how can he have a set rate for something he doesn't do anymore?
Well, I mean,
he charges $40,000 for this, but he doesn't even do it.
Well, he told me, he had said that he didn't want to do. He said he wanted to do clubs and theaters, right? He didn't want to do any of these functions, these Indian functions where it's like a hotel ballroom and this, that, and the other.
Okay.
He didn't want to do that anymore.
But then you,
I don't do any dirty jokes or profanity or these kinds of things, pelvic movements. See, Russell, they make you sign a contract that you're not allowed to tell him what kind of material he can do.
That's true.
What he can, and he does a lot of profanity and also picking on people.
Also true.
I toured with him for 2 years, and he's a wonderful...
Yeah, but Dan, the emails you send out, you pick the fuck on people. You pick on people.
Well,
they picked on you. In fairness, they picked on you first.
Yeah,
but you pick on people.
We're talking about a live show now.
Okay,
it's two different things.
Okay,
yeah.
So you don't do any kind of crowd work or
I'm too afraid. I asked Robert, I said, hey, man, when I was very, very young in this, I said, how are you, why don't you ever talk to the crowd? He goes, Dan, I just, here's what he said. He goes, Dan, I don't like talking to the crowd because I feel it's breaking the fourth wall. And then, there'll be a comic that comes out and starts talking to the crowd. And then, they start talking and then they get mad because the crowd's talking back. I said, well, you asked for it. And that was the first, I learned a lot from Robert. And one of the things I learned, is that you don't have to do crowd work. And I that blew me away when he told me that. I thought you had to do crowd work. Everyone had to do crowd work because you don't have to do crowd work. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. I'm too scared to do crowd work.
You opened a comedy club.
I did.
In Maryland?
Bethesda, yeah.
And
no, Joe, I didn't say you had to ride a bicycle to us. We suggest that you take public transportation.
You wanted it to be a green comedy club.
As green as possible.
Now, what does that have to do with comedy? Why do you care how people get to the... Was there a discount for people who rode a bike or something?
It was a discount, yeah, for Metro, yeah.
Okay, for Metro But... And then it was also a clean comedy. You were going to only have clean comedians. Now, would
Correct.
you have a dirty comedian as long as he, at your club, performed clean?
Sure.
So that would have been okay.
Yeah.
So it's not about the mindset or even the just at your club you wanted clean comedy.
Here's the thing. I have nothing against dirty comedy. I listen to it. I enjoy it. I've performed with 4 of the dirtiest Bob Saget. You know, I have nothing. If you want to do that kind of comedy, then do it. But don't give me grief for doing what I do.
Have you ever written a dirty joke?
Many.
What's your favorite dirty joke? Let's hear this.
Well, the thing is, I won't. I don't do them in my act.
No, but
so I'll give them to a friend.
Give me an example of a dirty joke you like. It doesn't even have to be one you've written. What's your favorite dirty joke? What's Dan Nainan's favorite dirty joke?
My favorite dirty joke is one that Robert did one night. He said that he was going skiing with his family and his daughters. As an aside, Robert also invited me to his house in Entrada.
Let's try to get something out without a brag.
No. The whole thing here is that I never toured with him. That I was showing up at his shows. He invited.
I think
me
you've proven you have. Nobody after this show, no one can argue that you toured with Russell.
Yeah, we're
and
all
Robert
agreeing.
I'll even show you.
We've squared this up.
I'll even show you that I have
no
an
more
order.
Spreadsheets.
Hold on. No. I have an order where I sent his son a little present at his house on Entrada Boulevard, Santa Monica. He cooked me dinner. I met his daughter. Anyway.
Yeah, you did.
I did. I met his daughter.
Oh, okay.
So then. Do
you have any pie charts?
What?
Do you have any PowerPoints?
I do. So what was I talking about? I forget.
Yeah, me
Robert.
too.
Okay, so Robert said that his daughter brought her boyfriend along, and then to the ski trip, and they were coming. Robert was coming back, and from getting something at the store or something, and he saw that his daughter's boyfriend had gone to the bathroom in the snow, and he urinated, and he wrote his name in the snow, right? But it was in his daughter's handwriting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Robert had so many,
That's a dirty joke to you? Like,
no,
you wouldn't do that joke?
joke?
That's pretty... You're not really saying anything dirty.
That's true. Now, I'm
You're
sure there's
insinuating-
millions...
I wouldn't mind if somebody told that joke as long as they rode a bicycle.
I've listened to... I've listened to lots of... I have nothing against dirty comedy, and I can't think of something I wrote right now.
No, I'm not. That's fine. I'm not asking.
Yeah, but
Dan, the issue isn't that... I don't care if you do clean comedy. It's that you take such pride, but it demeans other people. You act like people say you can't tell these jokes. Nobody cares what jokes you tell. Nobody does.
Even though on
You're
your
very, very
podcast
stuck
you said
on-
for
you're
10
very, very
minutes...
stuck on the idea. You're
For
very,
10
very
minutes
stuck on
on my
idea.
podcast...
Yeah, but on his podcast, he has to talk. So, of course, he made... No doubt, Joe made fun of your material on his show. That happened...
For an hour.
He doesn't actually care, though. I mean, do you care about Joe's opinion? Do you care? Like, honestly, do you give... At the end of the day, do you give a fuck about Joe's opinion?
No.
Okay.
It would be
But
odd
yet,
for
hold
you to
on.
say
Shut
no
up,
based
Joe.
on the
I'm making a point. But yet you spend a lot of time fucking with him over email.
I do.
It's
yes.
the same as him going on his podcast and fucking with... Like, it's the same thing.
So we're even then. But remember, he started it. I didn't just pick some guy, and say, "Hey, you're not funny. You're a failure." I mean, he started it by putting up a podcast about me.
So what happened with the comedy club? It was open 1 week.
So what? Okay, so here's what happened. So I wanted to do a clean comedy club. If we had a dirty comic who could work clean, that'd be great. That was my concept. It's Bethesda, Maryland. It's
now, why clean comedy club, and what made you think that's a good idea and would be successful? Like that, I don't know if there's one of those anywhere in the world.
Exactly. See, exactly.
But yeah, exactly.
I'm saying that this would be the first one, right?
Right.
And that, people of any age, of 21 and above, of course, would come and I talked to so many people who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s who, don't want to go to clubs because they're tired of the profanity and they're tired of getting picked on. I'm not making a judgment. I'm saying you can go to a dirty club if you want, but if you want clean comedy, come to my club.
But I think that survey of people is skewed because those people who are like, yeah, I'm actually looking. I would love to go to a clean comedy club. Those are people who just don't like comedy and wouldn't go to a club.
Well, we don't know that.
Did the market work? I mean, did the weekend that you were open, how was the crowd?
Well, the first day we were open, it was sort of like the grand opening,
right.
So it was packed. I mean, I invited, friends.
And how many
everyone.
Seats?
300.
Okay.
300. And then the first night that we were actually selling tickets was a Sunday. We sold 40, which is, not great, but for a first night, I mean, it's
sure.
not bad. I mean, I passed that club or that building even now, and I think, what if I had stuck with it,
Yeah, because I heard you say that you were thinking about opening another clean
one.
but clean, you would do the same way?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's because of the reason I said before is that there are people that, that look, Comedy Central, if you talk to the people at Comedy Central, they will tell you that their market is 18 to 35-year-old males.
Oh, let's say 18 to 24.
Right, whatever it is. But there are males who are older than that and females, who want to see comedy. I think that there is a tremendous untapped market for this. Now, if you don't like clean comedy, if you don't like the idea of a clean comedy club, don't go there. It's that simple. But
well, what went wrong?
Okay, so what happened was I put $8,000 down, and then it was a sublease of the Blue Lounge, BLU, which is a guy from Ghana or something, and then he was subleasing it to me, and then I found out that I would have had to pay an $80,000 bill to bring it to fire code. Okay.
So we have confirmation over Twitter from Mark Maron that email is about you right now. Live.
I guess you got to quit.
Okay, well, I mean, so he named me then?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Why would I make that up? That guy is a nut. When they said Dan Nainan, someone tweeted him, Dan Nainan is live on NLO right now claiming the email you sent in was made up and you're lying. Why would I lie about that? That guy is a nut.
Does he say my name?
He's replied to a tweet with your name in it.
All right, well, I got to see
the only person's name, well, you can. It's on Mark Maron's Twitter.
Okay.
Hey, send me your date
what do
so I can fill in.
I don't expect you to admit it now because you won't even say your age, but seriously, this doesn't take away from who you are or whatever. Wouldn't it feel good to just go, yeah, I fucking wanted to be on What the Fuck podcast. It's a huge, if I could pay $1,000 to be on that podcast, I would.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably just email them and ask. I just don't bug. I hate bugging people. But why is that such a shame? You couldn't buy that kind of publicity. It's not crazy to do. The crazy part is going off on him about cocaine and stuff because he doesn't even do that. But, why can't you just go, yeah, I tried to fucking weasel my way onto a podcast?
I would be fine. I would admit it if it was me.
So you're calling Mark Maron a liar. I mean, that's definitive. It's Mark Maron. This was just tweeted, 9:21 p.m.
I did not send any emails to him.
Ever.
No.
Well, what it also means, though, is that when Russell Peters talks about it being the same guy that sent the email, even if it was a fake, the fake was saying he was Dan Nainan, so now Russell Peters is letting you know that Dan's the one who tried to steal his website.
I'm showing the tweet on the feed right now. I mean, this is real. This is twitter.com/Mark Maron. This is real. It's a verified account. It's a verified Twitter account. It's Mark Maron.
People have impersonated me in the past.
You need to give Maron the link to NLO.TV so he can watch and call in, because that would be...
People have impersonated me in the past.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the bottom line, is anybody could send an email from any name. But they nailed you, whoever that email was. It's right. It's your fucking MO. It's how you...
I'll admit to what I've done. Now, as far as Russell, again, I mean, so are you saying then that I didn't produce any of his shows?
No.
No.
I just said the opposite earlier. I go, Joe, he's adamantly saying he did. It would be insane to be that.
Yeah, and the other thing is, that's one thing, is that when you prove yourself, you say, okay, well, we were wrong about that. We're humans. We're not ridiculous robots. What happened in the case of the podcast for Joe Rogan is he said the same person that sent that email, even if it was fake, Dan, they don't know that. They only know it came from Dan Nainan, is the same person that he was describing in that clip. And that clip doesn't match your story.
Why?
You're saying you produced the show? Okay, you produced a show.
Four
Then
shows.
what about the clips? What about the clips where it's explained that you tried to represent yourself as him by creating a website?
You just did
that
a
had his
Robert
name with one
Durst
L.
yawn. You just did a Robert Durst. You don't get that reference because you don't have HBO. Okay. Well, look. Anybody can spoof an email. It's true. I can't even.
And there are people who are out there, who are like trying to, make me look bad.
Of course.
Or I don't know.
Rob and Joe.
Yeah, perfect example. But I will show you.
I hate these guys, by the way, Rob and Joe.
Why do so many people have to get you, Dan? What is it about you?
Well,
are we jealous of you?
Well, let's be honest. I'm not a saint. Okay.
Eddie Brill.
Yeah, Eddie Brill. Who?
That's the point. But that's what all right. But that's the point I'm trying to boil down here. You're not a saint. No one thinks you're a saint. Why not just admit to the thing? Like, it doesn't matter. We've all done shitty, shady, whatever things. Why the? Let me ask you this: when Joe did this, when did it? Is Joe the first person you ever started these emails with?
No.
These daily emails of taunting, relentless taunting. It's what you admit that, right? Like
it was like
you're sending. I'm in first class. I'm going to this gig. You're a poor piece of shit with not piece of shit, but with a day job, and you don't get gigs, and you're working bars for $10. I'm at the White House. It's taunting. It's very
because these people are saying I am not funny, and that they're way funnier than I am.
We're getting a phone call. Let's see who this is. Hold on. Hello, you're on with Dan Nainan.
Hey, it's Rob Mayer.
Oh boy.
Oh God.
You're about to get double teamed. Your date's going better than you thought.
Well,
I just
do you need another
that
water? You want to get Dan another? Dan's chugging.
We agree that Russell Peters. We agree that whoever emailed Mark Maron is pretending to be you, or it is you, correct?
Water.
Oh, thank you.
What's your question? The guy who
Whoever emailed Mark Maron is either you or pretending to be you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Russell Peters says the guy he's talking about is the guy that Mark Maron thinks is Dan Nainan. So
right.
that proves
He must know who pretended to be Dan Nainan.
That is a link because Russell said this guy I'm talking about bugged Mark Maron and went crazy, tried to buy his way onto the show, and Mark Maron saying that guy is Dan Nainan, so thereby the transference, building it back up the chain. Russell Peters is saying
right,
that
but he also said that or whoever it is supposedly showed up at all of his shows. Unannounced.
You just caught yourself. You just said that I. You just said that I or whoever.
Well, he said that I or whoever is showed up at his shows, unannounced. And I mean,
no, Maron's got another tweet here.
Why would I like?
Hey, Dan, will you start emailing Russell Peters now and add him to the email chain that JL and Rob and I are on?
Why? Why would I do that? Russell is a funny guy who helped me tremendously. I would not be here.
And you fucked him over.
I did not. Why would I help? Why would I do that to someone?
Imagine your circle
Is there not a scenario? Hold on. But is there not a scenario where you went? Russell doesn't want to do these Indian corporate gigs for 800 people, for 500 people. There's an opportunity for me here to kind of snake those away. I'm in the same demographic. I'm an Indian guy. If I could somehow funnel people who were searching to get Russell Peters to work those gigs towards me, they would be happier. They'd spend less. They'd get an Indian clean comic. And Russell's not interested in those gigs anyway, so it's not really taking money out of his pocket. I can see how you could.
Russell's at this level that's like it's
stratospheric.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. You're not. I can see how in your mind you could go, I'm not really detracting or taking away from his business because he wouldn't do this gig anyway. Yet if I can somehow parlay me doing shows with Russell into getting work, when they were interested in Russell. If I can kind of go, Russell's not interested in you, but I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
That was on the clip. That was on the audio.
But you say that's not you.
What?
But you're saying that wasn't you on the clip.
No, I said that was me.
That Russell's talking about.
No. The clip where I'm talking to the client. right? I said there that Russell charges.
Right. So why is it more of a stretch to believe? I mean, but that clip pretty much indicts you for the rest of what Russell was saying, except for the website. I mean, nobody could prove that except GoDaddy or whoever owned the website. But I mean, people, that's a strategy that companies use all the time, misspelling domain names to get the mistyped traffic or whatever it is. Why is, I don't know. I just feel like it's not that big of a deal, and it's clearly, I mean, come on, Dan. I'm trying to be in the middle of this and be fair, but like, it's you. No?
Like I said, what Russell's saying about, someone showing up at his gigs.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have me producing his shows. You have him saying, there's a guy that I bring out on the road with me who's a friend of mine. I think he's really funny. But
again, that's an introduction on stage, and we all know those don't.
I didn't ask him. This was at University.
No, but that's what you do. It's Russell's show. He wants to make the crowd into the show. So whoever he brings on, he's going to go, guys, give it up for a good friend of mine. Whoever, like that's going to happen.
You think he's going to say that about someone who?
Yeah, every
who
MC in the
up?
world says that.
Yes, of course.
So I just
I've heard it a million
happened.
times.
So I happened to show up.
If he puts you on the show, I believe that he would say that on stage, whether or not you're good friends or not. And here's the issue: if I'll stick up for you when it makes sense. But here's the part I'm struggling with: you admitted to going to the Hawaii on your own dime and kind of lying to say I was going to be in the neighborhood anyway. Can I do this show?
Yeah.
That's what Russell Peters is claiming you did, and you're like, no way I would do that. You did it with Schimmel. You admitted that. On the same token, Mark Maron. I just don't understand the stretch to go. So, I mean, obviously, if it isn't you, I don't want you to say it's you. If it's not really you, I don't want you to admit to anything you didn't do. That's not fair. But it just is so similar, it seems like. And you've admitted to one on the one hand. No? I mean, it's just not true.
Well, I mean, yeah, I did say that I was going to be in Hawaii.
Right.
Because I wanted to perform with Robert. But at the same time, they're saying, oh, well, I lied and I showed up at Robert's shows and I lied and showed up at Russell's shows.
And then there's audio of you kind of pulling people away from deciding on Russell to deciding on you for a gig.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
And yet the digital, there's not. And the digital form of that would be you setting up Russell with 1lpeters.com and kind of pulling people away from that to draw attention to yourself. It's the same exact thing. Yet on one hand, you're like, yeah, I did that and there's nothing wrong with it. And on the other hand, you're like, no, I didn't do that.
But let me ask you, okay, if I remember
I'm just trying to understand.
He said that I supposedly put my phone number. Wouldn't they know that wasn't Russell?
If I go to a website for russellpeters.com and there's a number that says call this number to book me, how would I know that's not Russell's number?
Well, because they wouldn't get, Russell's book.
Yeah, but right? You would go, I mean, this is what I would do. I would answer and go, I'm actually Russell's opener. He's not doing a lot of corporate gigs right now, but I actually travel and I'm an Indian American comic and I can come and actually I'm far cheaper. Like I can see how very easily with a few sentences you could kind of make people like, this is not the comedian you're searching for. I know that's another movie reference. I don't know if you're,
no, that I
do. Literally, this is not the comedian you're searching for because they typed it in an engine and it went to Russell with one. Like, I can just see how it could happen. I can just see it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem that crazy.
Why don't you reach out to Russell Peters, Dan, and have him say your name?
Do what now? I'm sorry?
Why don't you reach out to Russell and have him clear your name?
Oh, okay. Sure.
All right.
Well, we had already made a deal earlier, Rob.
Yeah, are you still on good terms with Schimmel? No, with Russell?
Well, honestly, it's hard to get a hold of him because he has, an assistant.
Because the number on his website's wrong.
Yeah, right.
You guys are good friends, too.
So, but when was the last time you hung out and talked to Russell or did a show with Russell?
At his house in L.A.
Okay. You did a show there?
No.
Or you just hung out?
Went to his house. I picked him up. He had a girl with him. She said he was doing a joke about something about the people with the smallest penises have the most children. And then and he says, because think about it, who has the largest population? And the girl in the car goes, Indians and Asians. And I look at him, he goes like, I said, Indians and Asians? Indians are Asians. And he's like, rolls his eyes. I mean, yeah. I mean, I met him at a restaurant.
Yeah. All right.
But again, this is all predicated on me supposedly showing up at Russell's shows uninvited, saying that I was going to be in town anyway. I did that to get on with Schimmel on that first show. And then Robert...
That's the only time you've ever done that?
Yeah. And then Robert asked me to tour with him through his wife Melissa, right? And I produced 4 of Russell's shows, 1 at the Apollo, 2 in the Laugh Factory in LA, and 1 at Royce Hall in UCLA. I have all the receipts. I have. Why would someone ask me to?
Or what about this JL Covan story? Who says that you called a club in San Antonio, Texas, and told them that you read a blog post where he was trashing the club's condo, and got him kind of banned from that club. Now, you say that's not you as well, right?
That's not me.
But who the fuck gives a fuck about JL Covan, American Horror Story Covan?
I'm being accused of all of this stuff, all right? Of doing all this. Well, you anonymously, wrote some girl who beat you and this, that, and the other. I mean, it's really easy to say, I anonymously, I did this, I did that,
But because here's where it boils down to me. Here's where it gets definitive for me. Fucking around and sending these emails to Joe every day with your steaks in your first class, kind of funny. And I want to be CC'd on those from now on because they're funny. They're very funny. I'm not going to lie to you. I love it. Like, that's so...
I don't want to stop getting it.
That's so fucking funny. Like, to just harass somebody like that. It's a harmless, victimless... And if it annoyed him so much, he could set up an email rule very easily to never see them.
Delete it, right.
So that's very funny.
And it's funny because he says that he doesn't read them, and then other people told him about them, but he reads them.
Of course he does. Come on.
Yeah, I put them in my trash bin, but I go in there now.
Yeah, of course. They're great. But where it changes gears for me and where I have trouble is if you're calling clubs and snaking if you're like making up a gig and getting that comedian to take that gig so that you can take their gig at the club, or getting a comedian fired. I mean, isn't that shit? As few gigs as we get, admittedly, isn't that shit? That's a shitty...
I didn't do that.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying, because that's where it breaks down to me. If you did do those things, that's where it gets less funny and becomes like, wow, what a shitty person.
Can I say something real quick? Dan definitely threatened. Actually, he said that he did call the producers of America's Got Talent, and he exposed something that Rob did to get him removed from the show. He also threatened to call the program director of the radio station where I work to expose some sort of criminal past of mine. So this is not.
Well, they said they called Australia. You guys said you called some producer in Australia, and I wrote them, and they said no, we haven't heard from them. You said that you called some people about my show in Australia. You called Australia.
Yeah. Okay.
Remember that?
First of all, Australia doesn't even have phones.
To get you thrown off a show? No, Dan.
Well, I'd already done the show.
We're allowed to call a club and ask to buy tickets or ask about if tickets have sold. Yeah, I mean, we're again, it's comedy, right? So we didn't say don't book this guy. We didn't say this guy isn't funny. We didn't say there were roaches in the hotel, and Dan told us. So now we're not going to go here anymore. We're not going to cost you money.
Why what drives the need to email? First of all, how big is this list that you send this out to? The one that's, when you send it out, it's blind carbon copied, like to yourself?
JL,
Rob, Nick Mullen.
Yeah.
Who you wanted Nick Mullen to be part of this. He wanted nothing to do with it.
That guy has been,
because you said he's one of your biggest haters.
Yeah, the most vicious, hater. And then, and they're saying that I'm a jerk for laughing at him for being homeless, only because he has been tweeting all these awful things about me for a year. Okay, and
he's pretty hysterical too, by the way.
Yeah, well, whatever.
He's a great comic.
Yeah. Right, okay. So if he's such a great comic, why is he only doing open mics after?
Yeah, but this is the argument. You're again, funny doesn't necessarily beget success. It doesn't. That's not how this business works.
So the guy couldn't do a booked open mic or a club spot?
I'm sure.
Nick works.
You're telling me he only shows up at open mics where
He
they're
said
not
on
even
his he
booked?
said it on Ari Shafir's podcast. He himself said it. I do only open mics. He said that. He said I'm
not in a
failure.
joking way.
No, he said that.
Of course not. That's Ari
don't-
Shafir can't wait to get open micers onto his podcast.
That's what he said. You know, the thing is and is there a website?
Well, I'm going to text Ari after the show and find out about
All
that.
right. So the bottom line is this: is if you're so great, why aren't you at least
me?
Not you. They.
No, why aren't
You're
you
a
at
working-
least me?
You're a working comic,
But
right?
barely. Like I scrape by. I make a living.
Right, you're on the road, but you know, you have not like started to tweet about me or put up podcasts about my stuff.
Let's
not being
give it a
funny.
day. No, I'm kidding.
No, but you haven't done any of that, right?
No, because I'm fascinated by this. Because if what these guys are saying, if what Rob and Joe are alleging, you're a fucking nut. You agree? I mean, this is insane level shit. So if all this is true, you're out there.
They have alleged all kinds of stuff, which
is why I wanted you on. I want to let you say everything you want to say.
Yeah, I mean they've said, you know, like Rob said, oh, he's, you know, he bombed, and then the next podcast he goes, he did really, or the previous podcast he said he did.
Well,
really
I think
well.
he needs to apologize for that, Rob. I mean, Rob.
Yeah, I righted that ship. And I think that's a little less egregious than buying someone's website and trying to.
Well,
steal work.
you righted it after I pointed it out, right?
Well, yeah, I know, but at least we're willing to come clean. Okay, yeah, you say things that's hyperbole, whatever, for comedic value, and then you say, okay, well, if we're going to, letter of the law, yes. But then we say, hey, you sent this email to Mark Maron, you go, that wasn't me, and then they go, yes, it was, and you go, oh, well, no, somebody pretended to be me. At some point, there's no corner that we can kind of wedge you into. You just won't come clean on anything, even your age. It's absurd.
Mark Maron said, I'm not calling in. I don't want to deal with this nut job. Tell him to show you pics of his watches. I mean, he knows a lot about your... By the way, where's the Apple Watch? Because I wanted to see this shit. I went and tried it on. I didn't like it. Do you like this thing?
Yeah, I love it.
Have you tried it on?
Yeah, I have.
At the fitting at the store?
Yeah.
Because you were going to do an unboxing video and we're all waiting.
No, man, I woke up like 5 minutes too late on that.
So have you ordered yours?
Yeah, I overslept. Yeah.
You're getting 7 now.
I'm getting, and no, I'm not getting them for you. I'm getting them for people who help me get gigs.
Like me.
He told me that. like Russell Peters.
Dan's buying me the $350 one, the petite one. But you're buying 5 of these. How many of these watches you say you're buying?
And
why? Here's these emails. It's all this. It's this lavish life. I have a Tesla. You don't. I'm driving in the HOV lane. You're not. I'm working near the White House. You're at a fucking bar. I'm making $15,000, $20,000 a gig. Which, by the way, how often are you getting $15,000 or $20,000 a gig? How many times a year? 3, 4?
A few times.
Okay.
No more than that.
If you're getting 15,000, and what's average? 5,000?
5 to 10
for like domestic stuff.
You heard I got a $7,500 gig that.
Yeah, before the show, Dan got a phone call and then put it on speakerphone so we could all hear him negotiate a $7,500 gig. But you do like that. You like to kind of throw that in people's face. You like for people to see that you're doing well and that you're killing it in the business. It's important to you that people see you doing well,
remember,
right?
Only those who have picked on me and said that I am not funny.
But I didn't do that.
You're not. You're not funny. You're not.
Or fine. Your opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's
You're not
that's
funny.
subjective.
Your
so that's
opinion
fine.
doesn't matter to me because if the thing is
it matters. It matters.
No. If
My opinion
It
definitely
matters way too much.
if I'm not funny,
It matters a lot.
if I am not funny, how have I gotten booked in 24 countries around the world? Answer that question.
You're an
Again,
amazing
it
marketer.
doesn't. Yeah, that funniness. I'm not arguing whether you're funny or not. I'm saying funny. Again, funniness doesn't equate to success.
But who's
There's
the
a
judge?
ton of comics. The crowd is the ultimate judge,
Right, and the crowd, and
but
like I
where
said,
are your fans? You have 420,000 Twitter followers. I have 36,000. When you tweet something, it gets 2 favorites. Where are these 420,000 people?
Yeah, well, let me show you my.
Well, somebody pull up the fave star for comedian Dan on Twitter.
I mean, I admitted that I bought Twitter followers.
I didn't know that.
I was in the New York Times in an article about that.
Okay.
Right.
Also, all these articles, this Wall Street Journal article you're in this week about Should you disclose the number of sexual partners you've had to your person? Okay.
But I admitted I bought followers. I mean, but so did President Obama and John McCain and Britney Spears, and
right.
I mean,
The Big Four.
The Big Four.
Well, Dan, you kind of lose the right to get upset when people think you're lying. When you say you bought Twitter followers, it's proven that you lied about your age. It's in the police report. The police don't just make up numbers. So when you get,
I really won't be satiated. If here's the deal, age is something you can't lie about, and if it's in a police report, that's that, man. If you can say your age on this show to show that you're telling truth, it backs up all the other shit a long way. I don't understand why you can't go,
I'm 74.
See, there we go. That's
Who do they play
insane.
your prom, man? They play Cisco. Who do they play?
Me going to a prom?
Yeah,
Come
that's
on.
good. Yeah, what was a popular song for your graduation?
Do you think that I even went to a prom? Me? I mean, it was like I was a total outcast.
It was like Vitamin
Did you
C.
see American Pie on your spring fling?
No, that was earlier. That was
I don't
me.
know what that is.
American Pie? What was the last
song.
movie?
Oh, yeah.
What was the last movie? No, not the song. What's the last movie you went and saw in a theater?
I saw Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow, the Tom Cruise thing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not too that's what, a year old? About?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
What drives your need for people to see you as this guy who's doing so well? Like, why, I mean, in your head, do you know that Joe doesn't care that you have 10 watches and a Tesla? Or do you think he does?
No, I don't think he cares.
But so why spend so much time flaunting it?
because he has said, again,
Yeah.
he did. I was very nice to him, and then 2 weeks later, I hear about this podcast.
Die
and he's
another
going
Dan.
On and on and on about how unfunny I am. Right?
Yeah.
And I want to say, hey, if I'm not funny, why am I doing all this?
Yeah,
Hey,
probably
Dan,
covered that.
Do you think other comics that make $300,000 a year care if Joe and I don't think they're funny? Do you think Jake Johansson would care if I didn't think he was funny?
Or Jake Gyllenhaal?
Well, I think these people are very, very, very famous, and they probably have a lot of people saying, things about them all over the place. I'm not that well known, but you're
getting there.
I have met Joe, and again, we've been over it. He had to do this podcast and say all this stuff and tell me that this is a lie about my own joke, which is something that happened in my family.
Okay. So let's say, for instance, I mean, you seem to be unwilling to abandon this notion that the reason you're doing so well and getting all these gigs is not because you're a great marketer; it's because you're funny. That's
No, I wouldn't say that. Marketing is a lot of it.
More of it.
Marketing is very important. You have to, but you can't.
But if you break it down in a pie chart, how much is marketing and how much is I'm the funniest mofo out there? It's probably 90-10, right? Like, it's positioning yourself in marketing. It's this control of image. It's very important.
No, 90-10, no. I mean, because my marketing is primarily, when I do a show, I stand there and I hand a business card to every single person who comes to the show.
Well, that seems annoying. And a waste of business cards.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it sure is. And annoying as hell, too.
I have had people call me. I ask every person, how did you hear about me? They go, you handed a card to my son 7 years ago.
Here's where I think Rob and Joe.
Now, hold on. Why is that so funny?
7 years ago.
See how it all goes.
One at a time, boys.
Why is that funny?
Because I've never heard of someone. Hey, 7 years ago, my son gave me this business card. I just got around to calling you. Can I pay you $20,000 to do my wedding?
Yeah. Well, now let me ask you a question. If I had not, you may laugh, but if I had not handed that person that business card. Because think about it, what if someone says hey, we want to hire that comic, but was he like Pakistani and Chinese, or what was he? I don't remember. What was his name?
Yeah, I mean, if you drop enough flyers, some people are going to leave Nagasaki.
Well, Again, I think we're laughing because the idea that someone held on to a Dan Nainan business card for 7 years so then he could then kick him a $20,000 gig sounds a little far-fetched.
By the way, I'd love to see your card from 7 years ago.
If I, I have a card scanner and I put every card into it. It scans every card I have. It parses the data. Hey,
is this more flaunting your money to us with your card scanner?
No. This is the methodology. But here's the thing: if that got me a gig, okay, and I get a ton of gigs because of my business cards. This is something I learned from two comics when I was at Gotham. I saw them at the back handing their card to every single person. That's why it's not.
You learned from comics to hand out business cards?
Yeah, I was at Gotham Comedy Club, and there were two comics.
The only profession that has business cards, comedian. Okay.
All right. Well,
wait, what?
What? But
hold on. What did you say?
You're acting like business cards isn't a commonplace for people that have jobs. I mean, people hand out business cards all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, there aren't many comedians who'll stand at the back of the room.
Here's what I think Rob and Joe are asserting. You make a living doing comedy for these crowds, for these usually large crowds, corporate event. I mean, how much of your work is corporate now? All of it?
A lot of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think what they're saying is, if you did a show, if you went and did a show, I'd like to put this together, by the way. Me, you, Rob, Joe, JL,
yes.
whoever you hate, Nick. But let's do it. Let's do it for charity. Let's put it together for charity. And nobody make money on it. We'll do it on a Wednesday or something. But let's go to Magoobies or wherever you want to do it and do a show. All of us. You'll headline it. No arguments from anybody. I won't even hear it.
I would rather have Rob headline.
Okay, whatever.
Why?
Then he gets all the money. But no, for charity, we all do it, and we have comment cards filled out. What I think Rob and Joe are asserting is no one would think you were the best comic there. No people think you're the best comic. They're basically saying, and I'm just reading between the lines, you don't have fans. The only gigs you do are you were brought in by an HR person or a head of event planning, performed for 800 people. They all clapped because it was put in front of them. They all shook your hand and laughed afterwards because you're the comic at their event. And no one is ever going to see you again. Keep your card, file you away, go check you out on YouTube. They're just saying the only reason you get gigs is because they're thrown at you basically by a person who needed to hire a comic for their event.
What's wrong with that?
What is wrong with that? Because I think the core issue, I think the very core of these emails and this need for approval, whether or not you say it, this need for validation and approval, you have all these comics at a high tier level. Russell Peters, Mark Maron, or Robert Schimmel, whoever you've worked with and toured with, which no one's arguing with. But if these clips are real, this Mark Maron clip and if this Russell Peters clip is about you, it sucks to have all these people that you're using as credits and also that you look up to as these stratospheric comedy gods to be shitting on you. And then on the other side of the coin, you have all these people who in your mind aren't really successful. Joe, Rob, JL, all these nobody comedians, let's call them, me, whoever, also not respecting you and thinking you're not funny. So you're getting it from both sides if these clips are true. I can imagine that to be just like, fuck, like I'm making money, I'm doing all these gigs, these guys down here don't respect me, these guys up here are shitting on me. Well, I'm doing everything right. Look at my Tesla. I can see how that would eat me. Like I would just be like, I get no respect from anybody in the business. And I feel like because you skipped that kind of, maybe you did work those clubs with Robert and stuff, but I mean, I've done those rooms for 10 years, the Improvs and the Funny Bones, and still doing them. I mean, I feel like these guys don't respect you because you skipped that step and don't know what it's like to be a quote unquote real touring road comedian. That's the way. I mean, am I wrong here, guys? That's what I'm feeling about this whole situation. Is you guys?
Well, honestly,
Russell
I'm not
asked
really
me to
upset
open
about-
for him. Okay, Russell asked me or I called him and he said he would put me on every show. That thing about
And now he
showing up
hates you.
or whatever, or showing up and unannounced or uninvited, is not true.
Okay.
And again, I have proof of that here, which I wanted to show you beforehand. Okay. But I have, the spreadsheets for all of the shows I produced with him, and I have video. If you go to Dan Nainan video resume, and you can see there aren't 2,000 people.
Hey, Patrick, how often is he allowed to try to prove something we've already acknowledged?
Well, let's see this Dan Nainan video resume.
Right.
Hold on one second.
Yeah, why don't you show it?
This is like a 10-minute video.
You can skip over some of it, but it's all. Do you think all those 2,000, 3,000 people? Every theater
starts with Andy Grove, right?
Yeah. Do you think they were there to see me?
Dan, we've gone on record as saying you're a great marketer. You're awesome at marketing.
Why are we doing this?
I've never claimed to be a great comic. You guys.
You do claim to be a great
wait
comic.
a second, Dan. The reason that you're so upset is because we're saying you're not funny. Now you're saying you never claimed to be a great comic. And you understand something?
I'm in the middle.
Not being funny,
I'm in the middle.
Not being funny is
not according to Wozniak.
I'm a medium comedian. I'm not the greatest comedian, but I'm not the worst. I'm not the awful comedian that you think.
But do you honestly hold on? Now you've worked with Joe. You've worked with Rob. Have you worked with JL, or you just know him from online?
No.
Are they horrible comedians?
I think.
Are they not funny?
I think
honestly,
I think Rob is the funniest of the lot. And I think he, I hired him to do a gig.
Yeah, what was that about?
Well,
and this was after Joe and badmouthed you on the podcast.
Yes.
You reached.
I'm going to put on my bio, President Obama's favorite comedian thinks I'm the funniest comedian.
I thought, hey, let me reach out and maybe try and diffuse things a bit. So there was a Firehouse gig. And I hired Rob, and he was a little bit wary, which I can understand. He was scared a little bit, and he didn't know what would happen. I mean, he said this on his podcast. I said, let me book him, and maybe we can bury the hatchet, because I'm always willing to reach out and bury the hatchet.
Yeah, I mean, you're here, and before the show we were talking. You've been nothing but cordial and nice. I gotta admit that. I mean, I expected to open up the door and get shot.
You were very cordial and nice at that gig, Dan. We had a nice conversation.
Well, where does what about the DC Improv incident where you hit this guy? Like, where does that anger come from? Can you tell us about that night?
I think.
I mean, it's in a police report, so you're not really admitting anything that isn't
that's
documented.
Sort of like old news, and I'd rather not talk about that. I mean,
But how do you get off? So you're on. But for people who don't know, you're on stage at the DC Improv on a fundraising gig or a funniest
celebrity competition. Yeah.
And how do you get? There's a guy named Seth Rogen in the crowd. He works for Newsweek Daily Beast. He's tweeting that you're hack. Basically, he's saying. You're doing the jokes about Asians and the L's and the R's.
I don't think his name is Seth Rogen.
Josh Rogan. Josh Rogan. Yeah. Sorry. And did I say Seth Rogen? Josh Rogan. Yeah, you beat up Seth Rogen, and that's why you're not in. But how? I mean, you step off stage, and then, as the legend goes, you step off stage. You find out this guy was tweeting about you. You go out in the crowd. You ask, "Are you Josh Rogan?" And then hit the guy. How do you get the tweet that fast? How do you get off stage and then have a notification that someone's talking shit? I mean, is this a Google alert? What is this?
Yeah, someone alerted me about it. So
okay, so you had a text or something, or yeah. But where does that anger come from? Because that's not what I've seen here today. Again, like I don't know.
Before you move on, Patrick.
Yeah.
Before you move on, he's going to say that somebody told him about that tweet. Someone is monitoring Josh Rogan's tweet, a fan, and informed him. I don't think that's what happened, Dan. I'm pretty sure you follow your own. Whenever something hits on social media, you're made aware.
I don't know if Google News Alert works that fast. I mean, to get off stage and find the guy while he's still there, that's insane.
Being a fan informed you of this is what you're contending.
But where does that? But my question is, where does that rage come from?
The time in between, it was. I mean, it was a fair amount of time between when I got off stage, and then.
Okay.
But where does that reaction come from? Like you said, I'm not funny and I'm hack. How does that go to a physical?
I think honestly, that happened like a while ago, and I think that everything's been said about that, and I just would rather not talk. I don't want to stir it up again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's an important facet of the of the whole picture here.
Right.
Because it hasn't happened before or since, apparently. Like, I don't see you as a violent person. You seem very fucking reasonable to me, which sounds insane to these guys.
Well, I think that that I'm the pond that reflects the oncoming stone. If someone is nice to me, then I'll be nice to them.
Would you hit Joe?
Would I hit him?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
he wouldn't, by the way.
Well, I mean, he knows what's in my mind, right? The thing is this, is if someone is nice to me, I will be the nicest person in the world. I have been asked, I get all kinds of emails from comics saying, hey, could I meet you for advice? For the price of a cup of coffee, I'll sit with them for 2 hours and tell them everything that they could do to help their career.
Yeah, I read this. How can you get, you said you can get PR stuff done for $1 an hour overseas.
Oh yeah, I mean, I will tell people,
I mean, is this part of the machine? Is this part of how you get in Wall Street Journal in an article that has nothing to really do with comedy? But is that part of it? You're in all these articles. A green millionaire. Yeah. These are the things you're getting into that aren't really, they're tangential to comedy, but they're still getting your name out there as a comedian.
Right. I was in the New York Times. If you look it up,
you're on Parade magazine, like all this stuff.
My friend the Super, and someone called me from seeing that article. And this is about people who are friendly with their super and their doorman. And he called me and he said, hey, we're going to be in New York next year, and we have do you have an idea of some place we could? And we started talking. He got me booked in like Sedona, Arizona. That got me booked in like a 1-month tour of Arizona. Publicity is so important. It's so important. And the comedians who have asked me for help and who meet me, I help them in any way I can. Do the same thing. Okay, the same thing. I show them how to get upgraded to first class. I tell them everything I can. Now, the people like Rob and Joe, here's the thing. Let me ask you a question, Rob and Joe. If you saw a guy, if you saw a guy that was getting all kinds of work and you thought he wasn't funny, wouldn't you want to know how that guy did it?
No. Well, I know how you do it, man. You get gigs at Indian weddings that I can't get. We're in a different lane. You're getting corporate gigs that my act doesn't suit that. So I don't look at you and think, why can't I do that? Because you're getting gigs that I would never get booked for or never
Right,
try.
but the thing I've found in hanging out with comics is that it doesn't matter who it is or what level, is that you can learn from each other and suggest stuff to each other, right? But there are these comics like Nick or JL or Rob or Joe who hide behind a keyboard and they want to just assault you instead of like.
We're not hiding behind a keyboard. Just because I didn't attack you at the Hyatt means that I'm hiding. No, I'm willing to face you at any point in time. Look, Dan, you said learn from you. Yes, you're right. We can't fly to Hawaii in order to do a $100 gig and pay for our own place with Robert Schimmel. We can't do that. But I'm glad you could.
But I'm saying that's one example, but I'm just saying, and that's an extreme example. I'm saying that comics can learn from each other and they can help each other, and it's so funny because I get it's one way or the other. It's like either they're gonna be like hey, can you help me? Whatever, we'll meet, we'll have we'll become friendly, whatever. Or it's
you offered to take Joe out for steak dinner.
Yeah, and then he got mad because I offered to buy. He got
angry. That's not. You didn't offer to buy, Dan.
I sure did.
That's not what you did.
You
said, "Of course I'll buy." Is what you said.
Well, yeah. When someone asks,
even in trying to extend an olive branch, you still found a way to take a swipe. You're a bad guy.
That's
Dan.
not a swipe. That is not a
That's
swipe.
why we're not going to hang out. It's got nothing to do with whether or not you offered me a steak or not.
But you're taking that wrong. Anyone who asks someone else to dinner, of course, buys.
Do you think you're funnier than these two guys? Point blank. Are you funnier than Robert? Because you send emails all day long saying you are. Do you believe that?
No. I said that even though you say I am not funny, that
look at all I have.
Look at all I have.
Yeah, okay.
So if you're my point is this: if you're that funny, why don't you have a Comedy Central special? Joe? What is it? Rob? What is it you would want to do if you could have anything in comedy? What would it be? And why aren't you there?
I would like to headline A rooms and have HBO stuff.
Okay, now you wrote me. You said you've made a lot of mistakes, and that's why you're not there, right?
Yeah, which I'm very upfront about. You listen to the podcast. I don't. This is the thing.
You have to pretend you're something you're not.
I'll talk about how shitty the gig was, and then you'll email us making fun of me about the gig.
So my
But it doesn't
question
work
is,
that way.
Well, I mean,
my
Rob,
question is-
Rob and I know this firsthand. We were both in semifinalists in a Comedy Central competition, and I think, I mean, I'm not trying to slam anyone, but I think we can look at the people who won that competition and go like, really? I mean,
See, but
funny isn't.
That's a fallacy, because you're saying, because I'm an artist, and someone's done better than me, therefore, I know. You're basically saying you know what's funny.
But then where do things in the emails like the women come from? Where does like the look at the girl I'm
Where
with?
does the steak come
Before
from?
the show, you open your laptop and showed me a guy I don't even know, and the girl he's with, and you're like, look how ugly she is.
Because those guys have called me ugly. That's Brian McGinnis,
Okay.
who says you're an ugly guy. Okay, and JL has said
Oh,
you're
no, here
an
comes the
ugly
laptop.
But now these guys call me ugly. Okay,
And yet, look at the dog he's with.
right, and I mean it's
Right.
Like, if you're calling if you have the right to call other people ugly,
Yeah.
then are you like an amazing looking guy?
But calling someone ugly is like calling someone unfunny. I mean, it's just all subjective nonsense. Like, right?
You know? Well, yeah. Well, let
Dan,
me put it this way:
Dan.
if they hadn't called me that, then I wouldn't respond. Right?
But who's Brian McGinnis? Is he talking shit about you?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
I don't know.
another
I don't
guy.
know.
He's another guy.
He's a friend of JL's.
Okay.
Who is another comic who apparently, I guess, is out of the business entirely. Who doesn't
He
do
does
show.
voiceover stuff.
But who called you ugly? Just that guy?
Him and JL
But then
repeatedly.
why are you sending the pictures of the women to us? Or to my fan who was texting
Because he goes, how come you never get any women? He said that.
Yeah.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Is there one
do you think I'm good
is there one woman, the date from tonight, is there any woman we can call who will validate one of these dates? Because these guys think it's all made up.
Well, I mean, that's why I wanted to show you pictures before the show.
Well, I don't
I
need
knew
nude
that-
pictures
No.
or anything. I'm just saying, can we call one of these girls and you go, sorry about our date tonight, and she'll go, yeah, that's cool, it's okay.
No.
No.
Well, Rob and I have
that puts,
girlfriends.
is it
You can
real?
call them.
so that means, therefore, then that.
No,
that-
no, I'm asking. Is it real? Was there a date tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is,
And there's not one girl that we can call.
first of all, even if there were,
But you want to prove it so bad when you're texting and sending these
Just
pictures. Why
one
not
girl
now?
out of
This
70.
one girl would shut everybody up.
I'm not going to have you like I don't have that part of it. I don't have to prove, and I don't care what you think.
Okay.
Honestly, I mean
But you
for-
sent,
for all
but you
you know,
sent a
I'm-
picture of like 8 girls to
For
this
all
guy.
you know, I'm gay. Okay, let's just say
I don't
I'm
think
gay.
you're
and
gay.
I'm
You
coming
slept
out,
with 70 women. You crush pussy.
I'm coming out.
Well,
I'm
hold
coming
on,
out of the
guys.
closet. I'm
You don't
gay.
care what we think, but you sent one of Patrick's listeners pictures of women that you fucked. But
Because
you don't
he's
care
like,
what we think.
no, because he's like, well, you never get any women, right?
Well, we're saying that too. Let's talk to these girls.
No, one girl.
It's bullshit, Dan.
I'm
It's
gay.
bullshit.
Okay, it's all made up. I'm gay.
He's a 74-year-old gay guy.
I'm a 74-year-old gay guy. And Patrick, I'll show
Dan,
you.
Do you think you're a bully?
No, because I've only responded to people who've bullied me, right?
Do you have any kind of anger? Like, do you find yourself getting, when you're alone and these things happen, whatever it is, they put out a podcast, do you have an anger issue with that stuff? I mean, it seems like, especially early on when Joe called, I mean, you kind of lost it there for a minute.
Yeah, because he was saying that something happened in my family was false. I mean, why would I lie about that?
Why would you scream, you idiot, we did see cows? Like, who cares?
Because
what a weird thing.
You're telling me that something that happened in my family is not true. That happened is not true.
Well, I don't understand how the word graze came up when you're like, when you see a cow. Now there's an interesting word. What? Cow? Grass? Field?
So okay, but all right,
Why don't
let's
we call
assume
your
for
55-year-old parent.
let's assume it's not true. Let's assume it's not true.
Okay.
That's not a true story.
Yeah, which is fine. Comics make up stories all the time.
Yeah, I mean, what would be wrong with me saying it's true? But it is. The point is, it is true, and that is why I got angry. Is because he's
Nothing.
saying that
You said, why would it be a big
happened-
deal? If it's not a big deal, why are you angry?
Is the bragging about the cars and the women and the gigs and the money and the watches and the Tesla, is all that stuff a result of being called out by these guys, or is that just in you inherently to brag about that stuff? Because even on blogs and stuff, I feel like you're like, here I am. You said you're a member of forums where you guys just get together and post pictures of your first class tickets and your meals on planes.
Yeah, first class.
That's insane.
These are things that exist. I didn't make them up.
Like Instagram, like a forum. People
it's a Facebook
Here's
group.
what I had in Delta International First the other day. What did you have?
It's Facebook. Their Facebook groups called First Class Flyers and Delta Diamond Medallion. Yeah, I mean, this is. We enjoy flying.
By the way, I told you I was gold, and you didn't believe it.
Gold on what?
On U.S. Well, now American.
Did you know that you can, if you're gold on American, then you can do a status match and be gold on Delta and gold on.
Yeah, I like American. Why do I need to?
Well, because then if there was
but
cheaper,
you can't. I can't maintain that status on all those airlines, so I just stick with one.
It's a challenge. So they're going to say, you got to fly X number of miles in order to be gold with us.
Right. So I fly 50 to 60 a year and stay gold on one. I couldn't. If I split that up between 3 airlines, I'd be beginner status on 3 airlines. What is that going to get me? Or for a year, I could match, and for a year be gold on all of them, but then I wouldn't be able to maintain it, keep all those plates spinning.
Right.
What are you guys talking about? I've never been on a plane.
Yeah. But what do you say? I mean,
I've only sent those emails to people who attacked me first.
How big is this list? Honestly, are there bookers, managers, agents,
Andy
comics?
Klein, who lied and said that I lied about opening for Brad Garrett.
Okay.
Nick Mullen, who has tweeted about me, and I didn't even know who he was. J.L. Covan, who has called me ugly. Brian McGinnis, who has called me ugly. Joe, Rob, Josh.
But I mean, that's you get called ugly. Yeah, I know you can press delete, but I mean, so what? We're talking 5 comics, 10 comics on this list?
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing this?
Well, I don't. Well, as long as they've been attacking me.
Yeah, which is
it's
2
been.
years?
I thought it was 3 years. It felt like it's been 2 years. Actually, the 10th was the 2-year anniversary of when I heard Dan tell his great donut joke.
Yeah,
when
all
does
this
it
time
stop,
you've been,
man?
all this time, Joe's been saying it's been 3 years.
Is there a resume?
Yeah, no, I was mistaken. Okay, yeah, it felt like 3. It was 2.
Is there?
It's been 2. Sorry, I said 3.
Is there a scenario or an end game? Can this stop? Can you stop bugging them?
Well, I like I said, I've reached out to them and said, let's sit down. But instead, it's always about, it's never facing the problem.
But you've also said, as many times you sat here and said, I don't ever say I'm funny or the best. You have said to them, any crowd, anytime, we'll go up and see who does better.
Yeah,
you have issued that challenge.
I'm happy to do that.
Would you be willing? We'll work on this. Put it together. You don't have to deal with these assholes. We'll make sure Joe doesn't talk except when he's on stage. We'll have separate green rooms.
Right, but they would just fill it with their fans.
No, we'll put it out. We'll put it out and do it in a real club on a real night with real people. And we do a questionnaire.
And then afterward,
we'll do a questionnaire.
We'll all pass out business cards.
But we do it for charity, so that there's no fucking harm, no foul here. But it's a comedy show. Let's all go do a show. Would you be willing to do something like that if we put it together?
Sure. I mean, why not? But what would it prove if I won or they won?
I just think it would garner an appreciation for comedic styles.
Yeah, I mean, it takes all kinds of styles.
I know, but these emails you're sending out don't seem to foster that notion. And
have I ever said that they should not do their material? That they shouldn't do that.
You've said they should quit comedy and stick to their day jobs, and any stage in the world you'd blow them away. Let's go out onto an international barge and fight to the death.
See, here's the thing. Peyton Manning makes. Let me put it in a sports analogy. Peyton Manning makes $18 million a year, right? I'm at rough. If he's Peyton Manning as a starting QB, I'm like the backup QB who makes the league minimum, which is $420. These guys aren't even
420, right?
420,000 a year.
Yeah.
These guys aren't even the guys who are on the practice squad. They're not even.
Then we'll do a show. Patrick has a great idea, which you endorse.
I think it would be.
We'll do a show, yeah, and we'll whatever happens, happens.
I mean, would you be willing to do that?
Sure.
Or we just sell tickets to the public.
I think regardless, our podcast fans would come out and whatever. But it would just be kind of a fun event. And honestly, as much fun as we're having here, everybody's barbing everybody, and we're all joking. It's time for it to be, right? Can we all, even if you're not friends anymore, even if you're not friends and there's no like hugging it out after this, we all need to like. This is crazy, right?
Well, like I said, I booked. The first time I heard about that podcast, the first email I sent to Joe was, "Hey, give me a call. Let's talk about it."
Yeah.
Right? But it's much easier to hide behind a podcast and an email. And
No,
Twitter
we're
and
talking
Facebook.
about doing a show now.
Now,
Dan.
now, the
You
second
can
thing I
stop. You're
did-
repeating yourself. We
The
got
second
it.
thing I did is I
Got
booked Rob on a show to try to diffuse things.
But how does booking Rob on a show diffuse things with Joe?
Well, I mean, the two of them, are
Simpatico?
and then after that, after that, there was a podcast they had, and Rob was actually very reasonable and very nice and honest, and said I did well. And
Well, I think Joe's clearly the asshole of the couple.
yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, everybody knows that. It's our dynamic.
And so Rob was reasonable, but then Joe, was a jerk on that podcast again.
Yeah, but you're a 33-year-old guy. It's time to let it go.
Hey, I'm not saying I am totally, not at fault.
No,
all
of
right?
course. That's what I'm saying. But
It takes
it
two.
is what, of course.
Right?
But it is what it is. I mean, do you see a scenario where you stop emailing these guys? Like is that?
Well, I want to know what he wants to happen.
Yeah,
What do you
like
want
what's
to
the
happen
end
to
game?
him?
Yeah, what's the end game here?
There is no. Well, I'd like them to
Do
stop.
you want his
lying.
children to die? Because I'd be on board with that.
No, God, no. I don't want anyone to die.
We're all going to die, Patrick.
I don't want to die. But
Some of
the
us
thing
sooner than others.
The thing is, this is I reached out to them. I offered to buy Joe dinner. Apparently, he got angry because I said I would
Whoa,
pay.
put those guns away, Dan.
He got mad because he said I was going to buy, even though that's the custom, right?
Well, you have to admit, in the context of your myriad of steak photos and bragging about your money. But here's the part I don't even get. Like, let's take the Apple Watch thing, which none of this fucking matters to me. Let's say you're making 4 times a year, you're making 20,000.
It's not 4 times.
Okay, 10 times a year, you're making 20,000 a show, which isn't happening. I don't think. But let's say 10 times. That's 200,000 alone. I find it hard to believe you're blowing $100,000 on Apple Watch. You're showing like the $17,000 Apple Watch, the gold 42 millimeter. Like, you're not buying 7 of those. You're not that rich.
No. One gold
for you,
right, and then another one for me to wear out. Without.
Why not just have the interchangeable band, you dork?
and then 5 for clients who got me work.
Well, now, what do you mean clients? What's a client to a comedian?
There's a guy who got me a gig for New Year's. It was like $6,000. Then he recommended me for another gig that was $5,000.
He got you $11,000 in work, and you're going to spend $1,000 on a watch.
$350 on a watch for him.
$350.
I think that's people who get.
Let me tell you something. If you came around to give me a $350 watch wearing your $17,000 watch, I'd be like, why didn't we both get $8,000 watches?
It's a lot like the steak email.
Yeah,
people who get me work.
It's like he's going to take you out for steak. Dan's going to have the fillet, and he's going to order you the cube steak.
People who
is that how you ask women out, Dan? Dan, do you ask women out by saying, "I'll take you out, but I'll buy it for us"?
Yeah, are you suave? Are you a suave guy?
Hey, look, I've never claimed to be the best looking guy in the world, and JL, and Brian say I'm an ugly guy, but I put that in a parallel with comedy. I'm not the funniest guy in the world. I'm not the best looking guy in the world, but I've dated beautiful women, and I've had great gigs, and it's what you do with what you have, But
you say things like, will you ever even be in a place like this? Will you ever do a thing like this? Will you ever touch a girl this pretty? Like, yeah.
Well, because they, they started it. They started it. They didn't have to.
I agree they started it, but the things you're coming back with are pretty lame. Like, will you ever even taste a steak that's delicious? Like, probably. I've been to Outback.
By the way, you sent a Chateaubriand the other day. That thing looked
Chateaubriand.
ridiculously delicious. I sent it right to Patrick.
That was your birthday meal? Your Chateau.
I don't know what it was. Man, it's like
someone. And here's another thing. That reminds me. They're like, well, he was alone on his birthday with those balloons. I wasn't alone. I sent them a picture of the fact that, I was with. I wasn't alone. But the thing of it is, why is there such a stigma with being now?
What about this girl that was in the photo in an article with you that you made up her name? And
Amy
Carlson.
Carlson.
Yeah, she's actually a different girl.
Amy Carlson.
Yeah, there's a photo of you, and it says Dan Nainan with his girlfriend, Amy Carlson. It's a photo.
No, I sent the wrong photo to them. I sent the wrong photo. I even apologized to her. I'll show you the email. I sent the wrong photo.
Is there an Amy
But who
Carlson?
was that girl?
Is that your girlfriend?
What's that?
I'm asking if there's an Amy Carlson. Is that your girlfriend?
Well, who was you had posted something about me and all the crank calls, and there was an Amy at the top, right? Remember?
I don't even know what you're talking about, Dan.
Well, the bottom line is this: I don't claim to be a great comic. I'm not a terrible comic.
You do. You said I'm better than all of you to these guys.
Yes, you do claim that.
But I definitely, that doesn't make me a great. I am.
But
better
I asked you if you think you're better than them, and you said no.
Well, I think based upon
genuinely in your heart, be honest, and if you're confident about it, brag about it. Do you think you're a better comic than these guys?
I think I'm a better comic than those guys, but then again, it's a very.
Well, then why do you keep headlining me on shows with your book?
It's a very low bar. It's a very low bar.
Why?
Okay.
Oh, so if you were to do an arena, then you would headline.
I don't know who. I don't know how to decide who's going to headline. I don't. I'm not. Everyone
clubs
says.
know how to decide.
Everyone
the
says.
Fun person headline.
There's another claim. There was another claim that you were calling around to venues in California, asking if they had any Indian comedians working, and then undercutting those comedians. And a comedian named Kabir Singh called you out at the Ice House in Pasadena, and you got in a fight.
What?
That never happened.
No. In fact, I did a show with Kabir Singh.
Right, at the Ice House in Pasadena.
No, I never did a show with him. We did it at the in New York City, and it was with Kunal Nair from what's that show? Big Bang Theory, which I'd never seen.
Okay.
And Kabir Kabizi, right?
Kabir Singh.
Yeah, he was on the same show as me.
But you guys never got in a fight?
No.
Okay.
Where does this come from? Where does this stuff come from?
Where did that come from, Rob?
Chris Baralik told me that he heard that. I forget exactly who he hears it from, but it's.
Is it possible that this is all these things are just word of mouth misunderstandings?
It's so easy. It's so easy to say, well, he did this, he did that, and then it gets passed down like Andy Klein saying that I lied about Brad Garrett asking for me, and some people are jealous. When I got the tour with Schimmel, after 2 years, people are angry about that, right? And so some stuff gets. I'm not 100%. Innocent in this, but stuff gets distorted and then it gets repeated and sent around. And, there's all this stuff that, I don't know. Again, I perpetuate it by emailing. It's partly my fault. I'll accept responsibility for that. But, I don't know.
Well, I don't want you to stop emailing. I want you to keep doing that. I'm not asking for that.
But in everybody's best interest, I think even you would agree that you probably have better things you could spend your time on.
Well, it's like I said. It's like I said on Rob and Joe's podcast. If you're the typical person with a day job, you spend 47 hours working, 56 hours sleeping, 5-6 hours commuting.
These Asians are so good at math.
And then so it leaves 18 hours, 19 hours a week. I have 116 hours a week. I don't commute. I don't watch television.
That's assuming most people at their day jobs are doing work-related things. I feel like they're all
what I'm
Twitter.
doing at my day job? I'm reading Dan's emails.
Well, I thought you said you couldn't get on the computer at work, though, on one of your podcasts.
People in the chat are saying they hope you punch me.
I can get my emails on my phone.
Well, I don't know what to say. The bottom line is this, is I never bothered these people until, I had no clue who they were. I was nice to, JL says I was nice to him. I don't even remember meeting him, but he says I met him in D.C. one time, and he said he seemed like a perfectly nice guy. I didn't know who Nick Mullen was till he started tweeting about me. And I hired Rob. I said Joe called me, and I offered to buy them dinner, All
right, well, wrapping up, a couple things. Number one, we talked about the Mark Maron tweets that came in during the show, and you said, well, I'll have to see those. So after the show, when you do pull up Maron's account and see those, is he lying? He's a liar.
Someone has sent emails pretending to be me.
And you're 74. You're going to maintain that.
Yes, I'm 74.
Till the day you die. 3 bottles of water. Dude.
You probably ought to be getting to bed at your age, man.
He's got a date.
Well, here I can
Amy
show you.
Carlson.
I can show you the tweets. Amy, where are you? Well, worried. I'm okay. Where are you? You said you.
Yeah.
So.
Well, guys,
She sounds really hot.
Anything else you guys want to say or ask? I mean,
I think Mark Maron said it all.
I'd really like to put together a show, though. I think we should all.
I definitely would like to do a show. The problem is that no clubs here. Dan's not allowed to work any of the clubs here.
Not true.
So we'd have to do it out of the area.
Well, you guys have some relationships.
Oh, you mean by here?
I feel like you could. Now you got these. He's not allowed at the Magoobies with these Ungers.
No. He said here. He means
Well, he
DC.
pissed off Andrew recently when he shit on our the murder mystery.
Don't feel bad.
I
asked Andrew to try me out as a feature, and he won't do that either. So screw these guys.
I just really don't have a desire to do Magoobies, honestly.
But I'm saying we can figure out a club somewhere down there.
How
I'm
about
sure
New York.
Well, these guys aren't going to come to New York. They got
Why?
day
Why don't
jobs.
we do it? Why don't we do it at the Bethesda?
Dan, you and I can do that. We're professional comedians. These guys are day job schlubs. They can't be coming up to New York.
Well, what about the weekend?
They have girlfriends. Yeah. We'll figure it out. I think we should do it though. I think it would be good closure, and if it's for charity and it's all kind of a fun thing, I think it would be.
I think
everybody can sell their merch afterwards. Line up your tables.
Like I said, I'm happy to get together with anyone, friend or foe.
Well, I think this proves it. I mean, like you coming in and doing this, you being willing to do that. I mean, I don't think anybody can be like he's hiding something. He's sitting here letting you. Blast.
You don't think
this
he's
has been
hiding
a
anything?
3-hour
He's sitting
indictment, and he's sitting here answering everybody's questions.
And JL didn't come in. Why didn't he come in?
And I asked him.
You feel like he answered your question?
Why
I reached out to Nick. I reached out to JL. None of those guys wanted anything.
Right,
to do.
and JL said on Jimmy Fallon's podcast that he would show up, and then
Jimmy Fallon's podcast.
Fallon, as a local comic friend of his, and he kept dodging, and I'm willing to meet anyone. I'm willing to talk to anyone on the phone. My numbers. I'm
give your
in the
number.
book.
Well, stop giving your number out, and you won't get all these prank calls.
Well, people are like, "How do you get booked so much?" Well, my phone number's on my cell phone's on my website.
Do you think people are just walking around like, "I wish I had a comic's number because I really need to book someone"?
I get half my bookings by phone.
And by a 7-year-old business card.
That's acceptable.
I know that. See, Rob, I know that you think that what I'm doing is stupid or is something you would not do, but it's everyone has a different approach.
Dan, I pass out cards after every show. I do the same.
After every show,
I
actually pass out Dan's cards after every show.
But my methods are working for me, right? My methods are working for me.
I bought DanNainan.com, Nainin. I make $50,000.
That's another thing you said about a lot of these a lot of these shows are like not necessarily they're there to see me, right? I mean, there are a lot of shows, true, where like I tell people that show would go on even if I didn't exist, right? And there are a lot of shows where people come up and said, "I'm only coming to this because I heard that you were going to be here," So you're partly right. Yes, a lot of it is stuff that they're not there to see me. And I would love to have, a theater of 2,000 people who were there to see me or whatever, or 5,000, whatever. But I'm not at that level yet, and I may never be. But, honestly, if I never ever get booked again, it's, that after the improv thing, I thought I'm never going to get booked again. It wouldn't hurt me in any way, shape, or form financially. I'm fine.
Yeah.
So
who's talking about that? Who gives a shit about? That's the point.
Yeah, you do offer up a lot of arguments. Yeah, you argue with a lot of things that no one's calling you out on.
I understand.
Nobody's arguing about this.
Right, but I'm just saying that
I do have all my teeth.
You told me that these are you don't have a fan base.
Right.
These are a lot of shows that would be happening anyway, and you happen to be. That's partly true. Not 100%. I do have a fan base.
I mean, that's the life of a feature. I mean, I'm the same way. When I go open up for whoever on the road, nobody's there to see me.
Of course. but I featured, and I just look. I enjoy making people laugh. Maybe it isn't the kind of comedy that these guys approve of.
I don't think there's a maybe about it. They hate it.
Yeah, right. So they don't like it, but you know what? It's not about what they think. It's about the audience thinks, and that's more important. Who do you?
You're right. So stop emailing us about what we think.
Do you want? Would you want? You only care about what other comedians think, or do you care about what the paying audience thinks?
Nope, I care what the audience thinks. Now what?
All right. Well, I don't think you do. I think you're just saying that. But
but honestly, when you zoom out on this whole thing, it does feel like you care more about what comedians think than the audience.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh God.
I mean, why would you spend so much time fighting 5 losers?
I guess I'm just mystified by how these people could think that, and then they're like, and one guy is homeless. And
You're mystified.
I'm mystified by like another guy who says he's the funniest guy and he's got the funniest album, and then on the same podcast he's like, well, I've got no bookings for 6 months.
What do you think if these guys were to put together a book of your emails and publish it?
Okay, well, I demand part of it as a royalty.
You can't demand it. It's a public. You sent it to them. It's theirs.
Okay, fine. Hey, if it gets,
you can write the foreword.
If it gets me publicity, then great.
Oh, great! Look at this book. Only thing these losers have ever accomplished.
Fine,
Dan's already
and
threatened to sue me
thing.
many a time.
That's the other thing. Is they make fun of the book. The book, yeah, I didn't even write that book. Someone.
Oh, this is selling someone else's book.
Someone wrote it for me.
Selling green eggs and ham.
You have a book?
Selling Harry Potter.
Whoa. Hold on. I forgot about this. You have a book?
I do.
What's it called?
It's called, it's a book about how to do comedy.
You wrote a comedy book?
I did not write it. Someone else wrote it.
You literally wrote the book on comedy.
I wrote a book on comedy. Someone else wrote it for me.
One of the books.
So my unit cost
Judy Carter wrote it.
Yeah, no, I wish. My unit cost is $250. I sell them for between 10 and 20 at shows. I've sold like
Dan, at the end of the show, you sell someone else's book?
No. It has a ghost.
A ghostwriter.
Well, no, it has her name on it. And
you got ghostwriter to write your book?
It's not a ghostwriter. Her name is on it. It says Dan Nainan with.
Why can't you say her name? She's on your book.
Yeah, Grace Duvall.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean.
Can I say one more thing?
Robert
Patrick?
Duvall's daughter.
Duvall.
In my defense, how do you not make fun of this? Am I wrong?
Well, the whole situation's funny. You guys bashing him, him writing all the emails. It's great. It's great.
Now, I will say this.
But I do honestly, it started out very tense, and there is this kind of feel-good vibe about it at the end. We're all laughing. We're all like, this is nuts. We all agree it's nuts.
Again, I'm willing to sit down with anyone.
Clearly.
My worst.
You've proven it. Nobody thought you would. These guys did not think you would show.
Mm-hmm.
As of yesterday, you weren't going to.
Right.
Because I sent a sarcastic email out that pissed you off.
No. I was on the fence about it, but here's the thing. There was something else. There was another point I wanted to make, but it escaped me at the moment. But the bottom line is this: hey, this is an art, and it's a business, and there's all different kinds of art. You may not like it, but hey, I think that the audience decides, especially now with the internet. With the internet, is if someone has 1.4 million hits, I think that person is funnier than someone who has 3,000 hits.
Really?
There you go.
That doesn't make any sense.
There you go.
What if my video is unlisted?
Well, then you can't get any hits on it.
Damn right.
Dan, then why did you headline me at the show, and why didn't in Patrick's hypothetical charity gig did you say I should headline?
Well, because at Firehouse, I did not think I did not know how well I would do, and I did well, and you even said so. And then of course,
we keep getting more calls, and I can't connect any of these.
Patrick's
Maybe if I
podcast.
put these guys on hold. Hold on.
Patrick's podcast, you said that I bombed. Remember?
God, we've already covered this.
Hold on,
Dan.
Rob and Joe. Hold on. Hold on. Hello.
You
You got to turn your thing off. You can't call in with the thing on. And they
With
suck.
what thing?
They had their radio on. All right, sorry guys. I was trying to take another call. It didn't
Do you have
work
a
out.
delay?
No, but they.
right.
Yeah, I mean the internet. It's not a delay.
I'm hanging up. Thank you for making this happen, Patrick. Thank
Yeah.
you for coming on.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice
We're gonna
to
put
talk
together
to
the
you.
show. We're gonna let people. Joe, anything else? Rob, anything else?
No, yeah, I
Don?
just want to make it clear. It's unnecessary, Dan, for you to keep proving points that no one's arguing. It's unnecessary. Okay. No, you had shows with Robert Schimmel. You did. You had shows with Russell Peters. You did.
All right.
That's it. RobandJoeShow.com. Thank you, guys. I'm going to go try the Tesla.
RobandJoeShow.com. Let's say it in case no one.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very
Dan,
much.
thank you for coming in. And
Thank you.
See you guys.
For
making it a fun, not too stressful time. You want to plug your stuff? ComedianDan.com.
ComedianDan.com. And by the way, my YouTube hits are all genuine.
Organic.
Yeah. I put it up in 2005.
Yeah.
And I got tags.
But even you'll see that, right? Like one video may get 1.4 million hits.
Yeah.
And you could literally take the same video and upload it on a different account, and it might get 1,000 hits.
Right.
Like
Joe
it just
was-
happens. Like it's just
Joe
there's
was
part of
saying one has 1.4 million, the next one has, that JL, same thing, 300,000 on his Louis C.K. and then 2,000 on, but I have some that have 300,000. It's all stochastic, random. You never know. I mean, what's going to be popular and what isn't, right?
You never know, guys. Dan Nainan, you guys, Comedian Dan on Twitter. You can find him
What
there.
about the phone calls?
We took them.
Oh, okay.
That one guy just had his radio blasting. And I've been clicking. We got like 3 other ones, and I can't.
Well,
they don't.
I can
connect.
talk to them off the air if you want.
Yeah, or we can do a little after show if you want to. If you're sticking around, I'm sure people will call in. We can probably take some more.
All right.
But we've done 3 hours here. I want to wrap this up and get in the
Can
can.